up, Woodward. We are starting off your day with a brand new crew. Meet Broder.
I can't control my arms sometimes. My limbs are just kind of flying.
Detroit Kool-Aid.
Fired up!
Y'all got Kool-Aid.
I'm fired up! But with the Wake Up Woodward crew, he's actually a part of the family.
Flannel Sam.
Ask me about my wiener! Okay.
Along with JB and KG. Wake Up Woodward gets you all of your Detroit sports talk. Every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Live on Woodward Sports. A show for Detroit, by Detroit, with people from Detroit. Tell Siri to set an alarm, because it's time to Wake Up Woodward.
What up, though, people? It's Wake Up Woodward, and we appreciate y'all for choosing to kick off the day with the WUW Crew. Woodward Avenue just behind me is alive, man, and I know the chat family is too. Go on ahead and smash that like button, and let's get it lit, man. It's your boy Brandon, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Flannel Sam, the vet of the squad, the vet of the network. He's looking pretty upset and mad. Something must have happened in the sports world. Something must have. Oh, gosh, that team that I wish I did not have to talk about did something good last night, man. At least in their world. Shout out to Freddie Felt and all the people in the state of Indiana.
You know what? I'm happy for Freddie Felt, and obviously the Pacers haven't won the series yet. I'm happy for Freddie Felt. I'm happy for the great people of Indianapolis. I like the city. I know that they love their basketball in the state of Indiana as a whole. However, Tyrese Halliburton's my least favorite basketball player of all time right now. He's surpassed everybody else on the list. I can't stand him.
Hey, look, he's right there on the screen
Oh,
right
he's
now.
right there on the screen.
Just as you start to mention him, he appears.
And here's the thing, and I know I'll introduce the topics in a second, introduce the rest of the crew. I've come to a realization last night, though. Congratulations to the Indiana Pacers. You are the 2025 NBA champions. It's happening whether you like it or not. Tyrese Halliburton is winning a finals MVP whether you like it or not. Tyrese Halliburton is going to be in conversations in the offseason. Are you sure he's not better all time than Chris Paul? Are you sure he's not better than Luka? Are you sure he's not better than SGA? All of that is happening whether we like it or not. And to quote the great Big Sean, I feel I'm ready to jump out the window.
No. Don't jump out the window, Sam.
That's how I feel right now. It's happening whether I like it or not.
Listen, we still have a Tiger season. You have a Riley Green jersey. Hold on to hope, man. And you know what? I don't want to see the Pacers have anything good. I still love you, Freddie Felt. I don't want to ever see the Pacers have anything good. These rivals, they burn deep in my soul. But again, you guys know me. There are certain things that you have to apply the West Man-Tooth scale of respectability to. And yes, this is one of those anchorman situations where I look at the Pacers and everything that I like about basketball, they're doing it. And they're finding a way to do it in this era. Where foul baiting. Well, look, did fouls matter last night? No, they lost that battle, both the free throws and the fouls. But this team still went out there and all the other stats that mattered, and they punched them over and over and over again in ways that I'm sitting like, I can't. I want to look away, but I can't because this is the basketball that I love. This is the basketball that we saw our Pistons starting to step into this year. And when they played the Pacers, when we thought, okay, we're within striking distance, and then we actually played them, what'd they do? Pat. And what'd they do again next time we played them? The same thing. You know, so to me, to see the Pacers, to understand where they are right now, I believe in their brand of basketball. And one of the things that was very, very intriguing to me when you look at just the box score of how they did this, Flannel, because I know everybody would talk about Tyrese Halliburton. He deserves a lot of flowers. I'm not going to do anything here to diminish him this morning except for saying, hey, he has now entered that era of unreasonable hate for me, and just leave me alone. I can have that. But when you look at the assists, when you look at the steals, when you look at the blocks, the Pacers dominated the Thunder. They won assists 24-16, steals battle 13-6, blocks 11-4. And when you look at the rebounding battle, this is what's funny. The Thunder won this thing 42-36. When you look at the defensive rebounds 33-29, that's really moot because the Pacers took 6 more field goal attempts than them in this entire game. So the Pacers went out there and really bully balled them, and that is something that I don't think that the Thunder, who are very top heavy, are going to be able to keep up with. When you look at the Pacers, who we've been saying this all playoffs, we've been saying this even before, they're built for this. We've seen this before. and they're built for this type of basketball. They're slowing the game down. They're getting physical, and this Thunder team, they get popped in the mouth, and they're not responding well right now. Obviously, the series is not over, but this looks like a series that the Pacers have firmly under their control, and I don't see how, with the brand of defense they play and team basketball, how can I, as a fan of Detroit sports and understand how we've gotten it, how can I even bet against that?
And that's the thing, and that's why I think OKC now has no chance, because I don't believe they're a team that responds well to adversity. I don't think they experienced a lot of it in the regular season, being a 68-win team, winning constantly in blowouts. And I understand that they were down 2-1 against the Nuggets, facing a Game 4 at Denver, and ended up coming back and winning. That was nice. Like, bravo to OKC for that, but when it comes down to those down-the-stretch moments, we all have seen in this finals Indiana continue to execute like they've done all playoffs long. And the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 1 and Game 3's fourth quarters have completely choked on their own ding-dings. It's just what it is. It's what has happened, and it's going to continue to happen. Here's what's going to happen. I've got the script. The Pacers are going to win Game 4. The Thunder, in their home game, they'll jail sex the Pacers once because they need to. And then Game 6, the Pacers are going to win. And then Tyrese Halliburton, best player alive, topics are going to be brought up by fringe people. And I'm going to want to jump out a window, as I said before. I can't live in that world.
I don't want to live in that world. And you know that there's going to be a time that we have to. And Tyrese Halliburton, if they get this done, is going to step into a different stratosphere of respect within the NBA. We know what the poll said, that Cade Cunningham was the one that people were like, you know what, we think he's the guy that's going to step into this next era. But with Tyrese Halliburton, it was, hey, that's the one that, we think is the most overrated. Cade was the one they thought was the most underrated, which is very interesting because this was an athletic poll that they did anonymously with the players. Now you look at this thing and all of the narratives we hear, at least here in Detroit, obviously this is going to be loud. These are going to be things that are uncomfortable. But the way that Cade ticks, that's why I'm still not going to freak out about this right now. This is to a point now where I know this is stuff that eats at Cade. We've seen Cade go from a rookie who put up stats that only Jordan did to now an all-NBA player who put up stats that only Jokic did. And now he's looking at beyond the stats, and now we found a little bit of a rhythm. What's next? You see Tyrese Halliburton early in his career. This is still early in his career, and what they're doing. They built around him. They put team around him. They made defense an emphasis, and they have good, hard-nosed, solid coaching. Rick Carlisle has been criticized in the past for how staunch of a coach he is or how stubborn he can be. I've talked to even people around the Pistons world. But the one thing you cannot deny is that as a coach, he commands and demands respect. And they put the right grouping of players there that he's been able to take to these heights, man. Like, this is incredible. And I do, though, just with a Pistons slant to this thing, this is what makes me ecstatic about Trajan Langdon and his front office already proving to be very, very savvy. J.B. Bickerstaff, hard-nosed, right? Right, Cleveland, right? What were they talking about him? Oh, it's J.B. Bickerstaff. He's too tough. He's not a player's coach. He's blah, 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 blah. Look at these flameouts over here. But you look at the Detroit Pistons on the rise. And Cade Cunningham, this is where it's going to effectively rest with him. He's an all-NBA player looking to be the face of the league. And I like where their trajectory is. And really, the Pacers, we have to tip the cap. For this era, they have set that blueprint. And it's tough to say, but it is the truth.
And that's the weird thing, because I don't hate the Pacers. I actually am in awe of how many players continue to step up. I just hate Tyrese Halliburton, all the credit that he gets. Anywho, but last night was a perfect example in terms of the Cade versus Halliburton narrative. From the exact same draft classes, you got the Pistons with Jaden Ivey and the Pacers with Benedict Mathurin. In Cade Cunningham's first ever playoff run, whatever you think about Jaden Ivey, he would have, I believe, helped this team, at least in this playoff run. He was unavailable. Benedict Mathurin last night had 27 points on 12 shots because, of course, he did. It's insane type of cosmic. The basketball gods
Did Beasley
are shining.
even have any game in the playoffs that good?
Nobody on the Pistons besides Cade had a playoff game that good. And And Benedict Mathurin,
maybe Uncle Toby for one game.
okay, fine, but 27 points on 12 shots. No, they did, because you know what else I saw last night, and this is why I keep saying that, and I'm going to say it again, Tyrese Halliburton has had the luckiest run in NBA playoff history, because last night, we know OKC's MO. OKC can blitz you really, really quick. And they did that in game 2. They got up to like a 25-point lead in the middle of the second quarter and never looked back. It looked like the Thunder were going to do that last night. They had an 8-point lead at the end of the first quarter. But do you know what happens? With Tyrese Halliburton on the freaking bench, the Pacers go on a 15-4 run with Benedict Mathurin scoring 9 of those points. And oh, by the way, TJ McConnell with 4 assists. I'm not done, by the way. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, with OKC leading by 5, with Tyrese Halliburton again on the bench, the Pacers go on a 14-9 run to tie the game when Hallie comes back in, and Mathurin scores 8 of those points. So 17 out of Benedict Mathurin's 27 points last night were on beginning of second and fourth quarter runs that completely flipped the game, where it could have easily gotten away from the Indiana Pacers. But Halliburton's bench gravity, yo. I'm sure that's what a lot of people are saying. Impact on the game that isn't the box score, a.k.a. sitting on the bench picking his nose while Benedict Mathurin goes off. I'm sick of this shit. Tyrese Halliburton's the luckiest motherfucker in one playoff run to ever walk the face of the earth. I'm sick of it.
Listen, there is so much that I want to be able to say.
He played a good game last night. He did play a good game last night.
I was going to say, bro, he was 1 rebound away from a triple-double.
I understand. He actually put up star
floor.
numbers last night for the first time in this series, by the way. Benedict Mathurin did not do his job, Wheezy. That's not his job. 27 points on 12 shots is not Benedict Mathurin's job. That's superstar, apex, predator, role player type shit. Just like Aaron Nesmith in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. 5 of 5 from 3 in that stretch.
But you know what, though? This is what we know about winning basketball. These teams that have punched their way through what the narratives say is a winning squad. You know, hey, you need a superstar to look like this. You need your squad to come together these ways. You need these many superstars. No, the Pacers, just like the Pistons in 04, have found a way to get through by solid basketball from top to bottom. We knew that everybody that we brought off our bench in 04, everybody had an opportunity to go out there and do work. And the Pacers, they're set up just the same way. And Tyrese Halliburton, where he puts himself in a good position is, as the usage is low, he is making the most of that time. He's making the most of all of his usage, and he's keeping his mistakes down. That's the thing. Look, the Pacers are just a really, really, really well-built team. And what winds up happening, we've seen this already. There have been players that have been elevated over guys we like. We know Cade is better than a lot of these players. But what winds up happening is this system honors the winners. The Pistons have to make winning the number one focus. And then I know without a shadow of a doubt, Cade Cunningham will be on the better side of a lot of these narratives and these conversations. Now, look, he's already kicking down the door. He went from 67 to now people are realizing top 15. We've seen the Ringer and all these other places. They're putting him top 15, top 10 player in all of the NBA. And that's where we're at right now. That's why I'm glad with where the Pistons are. But it's the narratives, I don't think they change until Cade wins, because right now, for all intents and purposes of the NBA world, the Pacers are on top of all of it. And Halliburton is always going to have that spotlight shined on him, man.
Go ahead, Chase.
I was going to say, you're just living up to your to yourself. You hate your role players, and the role players are stepping up for the Pacers, and you're getting upset by it. It's on brand.
He's an all NBA player though. That's the thing. It's like, Tyrese, you look at what he's doing in this.
Well, I'm talking about like Nesmith, Nembhard, Mathurin, like all the other players. Obviously, like Halliburton and Siakam are very highly talented NBA players, but it's all the other guys who are stepping up too that Sam's getting frustrated and calling out too.
But that's another thing. I'm glad you actually brought that up, because it brought to mind just again the health of their organization. If we would have drafted Benedict Mathurin to the Pistons, we would still be sitting here right now saying he has to be the number 2 player right now. Think about the pressure that would be on him. That's the difference between where these two teams are right now. Benedict Mathurin can be a role player. The pressure's not on him. That's the whole thing. You look at Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, Nembhard, and all these guys, their usage rates are so low that they're able to just play to their fullest potential. And that burns me up, because despite drafting so well over the 3 or 4 years, we see how much they've undermined their own success, the Detroit Pistons, by not putting the right players around them, to the point that You go out there and get some of the least heralded free agents on the market. You get Timmy Beasley for $6 million. Nobody, think about it. If anyone thought he was going to be what we saw last year, he was not getting $6 million from the Pistons. He was going to get more from somebody else, and Tobias Harris. And then that added 30 wins, and the first team to go from 14 to 44. That's what excites me about what's ahead. But this is where, when you look at the Pacers, you look at the fact that they're rookies. You look at the fact that they're role players. You look at the fact that they're big men. None of them are stressed. Look at the Pistons' big men. How stressed did Isaiah Stewart look out there? How stressed did Jalen Duren look? And then when you get just behind them, it's Paul Reed. For as much as I love you, bless your heart, try hard, Paul Reed. It's Paul Reed. That's the difference. And as the Pistons, I think, as they build closer to a brand of team that Flannel, I don't know if he likes or dislikes, full of strong role players, I think that we're going to see Cade Cunningham getting even more love than we see Halliburton.
Well, this is actually the opposite. I don't like when role players get propped up to being like full hero status unnecessarily.
Brandon Inns.
This is
Donnie
perfect
Kelly.
perfect examples right there. Even Darren McCarty. But we've been through this before. We've been through this before.
Shots fired.
No,
man.
no, we've already been
Stanley Cups.
through this before.
The game-winning goal in the first cup to end the drought in how many years? A little bit more than goals.
Guys,
he had
again,
a pretty big role that he played. I'm gonna stand up for D-Mac.
Again, that was that was an insurance goal in Game 4 of the Finals. They were already up 3-0.
Still the game winner.
Let me finish. This is the opposite of that, though. In a couple of years, nobody's even going to remember Neesmith and Nembhard and Benedict Mathurin. It's going to be the only highlights we're ever going to see is Tyrese Halliburton's game winners, and we're going to be having
the choking,
like
the dances.
Actual NBA people are going to be having discussions of, was this finals run actually just as good as Jokic's in 03 and Steph's in 2023, Steph's in 2022, all of LeBron's, Giannis's in 2021, Kawhi's in 2019. It's going to happen whether we like it or not, and I can't accept it. I'm trying to accept it, but I'm broken right now.
I think that you're missing the mark a little bit, Flannel.
What am I doing?
I think that you are overcompensating for the fact that you don't like role players, so you think that people don't remember them. I'm not even that big of a basketball guy, but I could tell you who the role players are on almost every single championship team for the last 5-10 years. You don't forget those types of players, like Bruce Brown and Michael Porter Jr. in the Denver finals. Like, they came up huge for them down the stretch, especially Bruce Brown.
Yeah, Bruce Brown paid, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Warriors teams, like Sean Livingston, like, he was a huge part of their dynasty. Kevin Looney, like, these types of role players like etched themselves in name in NBA history by having these good postseasons, and that's why you remember those types of guys. They're like, who gives a about them during the regular season, but like during the playoffs, they come, they make big plays, and they're remembered, just like how D-Mac was.
Yeah, I see Matthew Kruger too. He said, "Quit with the nonsense, Kool-Aid. They tanked 3 years in a row. Of course, they're going to be a better team when they actually try to not lose on
he's
purpose."
Not a Pistons fan.
Hey,
People
listen,
remember David
Krugs,
Freese, Sam.
they tried to put legitimate players around Cade Cunningham. They didn't just try to tank. Cade Cunningham's leg, you remember that thing? Yeah, he missed the whole season. And then they went 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row with vets. How did Cade's first year start off? Was Cade on a barrenless, talentless team? Or did he have guys that went on like Jeremy Grant and got, I don't know, his highest contract ever based off of the play that he had here in Detroit? They tried. They really tried. They failed. Jeremy Grant, Kelly Olynyk, you look at the vets they brought in year one. They tried. People always gloss over that. Then you go forward into when they brought in Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, and it just failed 2 years in a row. Now you got Trajan Langdon in here who just tried marginally. I don't even know what scale I feel like they tried harder to put the right players around Cade underneath the freaking Troy Weaver era. They just kept failing. Trajan walks in and just, well, we know Tobias is on his way in. Hey, Timmy, they don't like you in Dallas. You want to come here? Hey, Beasley, for whatever reason they don't like you there, you want to come here. And then voila, magic with the same young players and these three players that Krugs in the beginning of the season said these Pistons team ain't going to really be it. I don't get it. This is about team construction. And for me personally, I just believe that where the Pistons are right now, they do have a greater chance to reach what we see the Pacers doing right now, which will change a lot of that narrative that you dislike, because this is boosting Tyrese Halliburton, but it makes me think and wonder how much more would it boost Cade, who's clearly, as it relates to the stats, his effect on the usage and all that, and gravity, a better player.
He is a better player, and that's something that I'm going to continue to rail against. That's why I keep bringing this stuff up about Tyrese Halliburton's good fortune and role players coming through every single GD time. It makes me want to puke. I mean, we can even go back to game 1 where the bench shot 8 of 12 from 3 and the Pacers as a whole shot 6 of 10 from 3 in the fourth quarter, with Halliburton making none of them and assisting on one of them, and before the game winner had a grand total of 2 fourth quarter points. Again, that's that whole impact on the game that doesn't show up in the box score. To me, you don't get to do that when you're considered a superstar and having a legendary playoff run. You got to have the numbers to back it up too, and Tyrese Halliburton just doesn't have it, other than game-winning shots. That's it.
Hey, you know what? We got to get to the next segment. NBA Finals. I believe that, if I had to call this one, the Pacers definitely got a stranglehold on it. I know how you're feeling as well. But you can't really count out SGA and the OKC Thunder. They've won a lot of games this year.
I'm counting them out. It's not happening.
Because we've seen this before. Like I said, this to me feels very, very similar to what we saw in 2004 when everybody said that the Pistons were outmatched. They had, I believe, similar record disparities between the Lakers and Pistons and OKC and the Pacers. And you could just tell this was a better defensive team. This was a team that understood where to be on the court offensively. The cohesion is just there. They're not playing through just so much of what one player has to be and do. And that is where Tyrese Halliburton is thriving. It's the efficiency aspect of it with low usage, whereas a guy like SGA, if he's not doing everything, it's going to be a hard night, especially when you're talking about finals basketball for OKC to really go out there and impose their will.
And for the record, SGA wasn't good enough last night. That, game 1, I don't put any blame on him, except for he could have been a little bit better down the stretch. But last night, SGA wasn't good enough. That was actually Jalen Williams' best finals game, and unfortunately, they still lost. One more thing before we get to the Tigers, because Weezy D313 with the false equivalencies as always. Is Tim Duncan overrated because Manu and Tony Parker did their job? No, Weezy. Tim Duncan was a 3-time Finals MVP and a 2-time MVP. Tim Duncan in 2003 actually had one of the greatest playoff runs and one of the greatest Finals performances in history, averaging 24, 17, 5 assists, 5 blocks on 50%. No, it's not the same. It's not the same. Again, Tyrese Halliburton is basically allowed to be the Michael Jordan of Robert Ory's, and he's going to be treated like he's a superstar. I actually saw that. He's the Michael Jordan of Robert Ory's. I like that, actually. I'll give you that. He's Mr. Big Shot. He's had some great games. It's just, even last night, Benedict Mathurin decides to be a superstar for like an efficient superstar, and did the majority of his work when Hallie was on the bench. But Hallie must have motivated it from the side.
That's why I still think it's disrespectful. I'm seeing some people that try to. I will liken this team's success and team defense, team offensive approach. Everybody's gonna have a slice of the pie. I will liken that to the Detroit Pistons. But please stop trying to liken Tyrese Halliburton to Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups ran the show. Chauncey ran the show. Chauncey ran the show. Chauncey ran the show. Tyrese is not on Chauncey's level.
I think to say he's not on Chauncey, and this is where I'll defend Hallie. I think if he gets a Finals MVP, I think Hallie has a very good chance to finish with a better career than Chauncey. He
has a chance. He definitely has a chance. But we know that, and we saw with where it happened with Chauncey's stats when he went to Denver as he aged, they blew up. That proved who he was. He came here, he took a backseat offensively and ran the show all the time. There wasn't moments where he wasn't the guy. That's just the whole thing. He took the defensive challenges. I got Kobe. Like, he took those challenges when Tayshaun needed to be able to sit. You go back and you look at those series and you look at everybody he faced on his way to winning that championship, and it was legend after legend after legend. And he took the challenges both offensively, defensively, running the show, getting everybody involved. And they started 4-on-5 offensively. Chauncey was a completely different monster who I believe, if I don't and anybody who saw him play doesn't really stand up for his legacy, it's something that I do believe will get just kind of washed away like other players we know. I believe Joe Dumars is too highly disrespected. Good on good on Michael Jordan for saying that the best player that's ever defended him was Joe Dumars. Because if he didn't say that, you'd barely hear people here talk about how great of a player he was. So I don't know, man. I'm not hating on Tyrese at all. I've sat here and said he has changed that narrative. Cade is going to have to do and have the team success that we see Tyrese Halliburton having for us to change that narrative now. When the Ringer places Tyrese in the top 10, but they place Cade in the top 15, I can't argue about that right now. But as it relates to a player that we know is an all-time great, and I'm going to say that. I'm going to stand for my guy Chauncey. Yeah, Tyrese has a little bit more to do, but you are right. He can, based on what he does from here, find a way to have a better career.
We'll see. Like, I'm praying. I would give anything for the Thunder to come back in this series. I see a team that always executes down the stretch. Rick Carlisle is about to become thought of in an even more rarefied air. Like, not to extend this too long, but if he wins a finals this year with the Pacers, is he right up there? Is he like Chuck Daly in terms of legacy?
I've always liked Rick Carlisle.
Yeah.
I've always liked him. The one thing I've heard is just there's an air of stubbornness that has kind of followed throughout his coaching career, and it just sat right with the Pacers, and that happens sometimes. You know, Chuck Daly was a guy who his personality, his persona, it just fit so well with Detroit and with what they were trying to do, and all the players bought into it, and I like it. Same thing here. I heard the same things about J.B. Bickerstaff, which kind of chased him out of Cleveland. And we see exactly how it meshes right here. I think more so than the negatives that have followed some of these coaches like Rick Carlisle, I think it's just more or less about finding your fit. Maybe some of those other teams that these guys have been with, they were in different stages. We know for the Pistons, it was early on in Rick Carlisle's career, and he proved himself. But he wasn't the right fit for that time, and Larry Brown was for that window. But you look at what Rick Carlisle is doing right now. I've always been a fan of his. I've always been somebody who believed he needed to be, looked at, in rarefied air. He's a hell of a coach, man. And now what you see him doing on this big stage, in which probably a lot of people counted them out early. A lot of even Pacers fans are probably nervous going in, who have probably so much more confidence. Because I remember how I felt in 2004. So I'm just kind of borrowing from those moments. Yeah, Rick Carlisle deserves a lot of flowers, and if he gets this thing done, I stamp. You think about some of the guys that are up there. If he gets this one, like, who's a better coach to you? Doc Rivers, Rick Carlisle?
Rick Carlisle, and it's not close.
Right.
Rick Carlisle's already better. I've always thought Doc Rivers was
You
an
hear
overrated
certain
coach.
conversations, though.
I've always thought Doc Rivers was an overrated coach.
I won't go that far to call him overrated. I'll just say I think some other guys are underrated. I still want to be respectful to what he's done to win as a coach.
I'm respectful to what he's done. I still can't get over the Stephen A. Smith saying that Doc Rivers was better than Greg Popovich.
Yeah, Doc Rivers was overrated. His last few years coaching with the Clippers and the 76ers has brought his rating right to where it should be.
Fair.
Yeah, he's leveled himself off and shown like he's was a little too overrated.
Well, because he's not even thought of that highly anymore. I know what you're saying.
Exactly. That's what I mean. He kind of like tapered it off.
Weezy D says he thinks Rick Carlisle and Doc are neck and neck. And I do too. I believe I believe what he's doing right now, though, is, to me, proving. And this is like NBA narrative. I think Rick Carlisle is a better coach. Just period. You look at the X's and O's. You look at the adjustments. You look at what he's done in series. To me, it's surprising they haven't gotten it done to this point. But you now look and you see roster construction, personnel, and boom. I like it.
And you know what? If Carlisle, Dirk Nowitzki he obviously played great in the finals and the playoffs, but the fact that he got his first ring with Rick Carlisle and completely changed the perception about him, and then if he can do it with the Pacers too, in basketball crazy Indiana for their first title ever after so many. Nobody's had more playoff disappointments in the last 25 years than the Indiana Pacers. If he can do that with them, not even 25, go back to like the late 80s, the Reggie Miller, like 40 years almost. Nobody's had more playoff disappointments than the Indiana Pacers. If Carlisle can get it done with them,
it's going to be one of the greatest sports stories.
That's one where that ring means probably more than a lot of other ones.
It is one of the basketball meccas. And Big Con 51, just one more. I love Chauncey, and every Piston fan will go to the bathroom, rightfully so. But he was in the absolute perfect spot. You can't hate Hallie and love Chauncey. Yes, I can. Just like I love Isaiah and I hate Michael Jordan. Just like how I love the 04 Pistons and I hate LeBron James. I respect those players. If I were to say that these guys suck, then yeah, I respect Tyrese. But again, you look at what Chauncey was. I don't believe that what we saw to Chauncey in Denver, I don't think that we'll ever see that level of statistical play out of Tyrese Halliburton. I don't think we will ever. I don't think we'll see a guy who he can go out there and average 25 to 30 points a night while you still got Carmelo on your team. I just don't think we'll ever see that with efficient play still.
Hey,
I just don't.
We'll see. Just a reminder that Tyrese Halliburton didn't even make the All-Star team this year. But anywho, on that note, speaking of somebody who definitely won't, that would be a way too
Put a slam dunk at the end there, man.
I'm not going to try to cleverly transition. I'll just say this. Last night and yesterday was one of the few bad days we've had as Tiger fans. And I don't necessarily want to dissect every moment of the game, but we do have to talk about Jackson Jobe's Tommy John surgery.
The game didn't even matter to me. At that point in time, I'm like, they still got time to win the series because up to this point, all of the adversity has been stuff that's just been like, Casey Mize, they've given themselves a cushion. The adversity has been things they can overcome. But we had big hopes for one Jackson Jobe.
Hey, absolutely. And those hopes are going to have to be put on the back burner for just a little bit. But we'll talk about it. We'll give some details. I'll tell you why it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also, you don't want to see that happen. But, JB Smoove, tell us about Mad Packs, please.
Oh, I got you. Hey, guys. Justin here to tell you about Mad Packs. Mad Packs is the hottest new cannabis brand, and they are partnering with us over here at Woodward Sports. They just launched on May 30th their new products that are coming out right now, available in select dispensaries. High-low, that's getting you high for the low, delivering top-tier quality and unbeatable prices. You ready for this? It's that boom shakalaka. That boom shakalaka is the new live resin infused tarantula. This one is the bomb. Blizzard packs, THCA, moon rocks that hit like a blizzard. Stay tuned with us here at Woodward Sports for more updates and details.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
The boys of summer are here, and Woodward Sports is all over the Motor City with the White Claw Tigers Tour. Come party with Woodward Sports, watch the Tigers, and sip on some White Claw all summer long. The best bars, big giveaways, live events, and a party that only Woodward Sports can throw. Ain't no party like a Woodward Sports party. Join us Friday, June 13th from 5 to 7 with the heavyweights at Nemo's in Corktown for the White Claw Tigers Tour, brought to you by White Claw and Ven Johnson.
Les Stanford, Buick and GMC has great offers for everyone. They're just a really good car dealership. Get a 2025 Envision Preferred AWD with only $259 per month, or try out the 2025 Sierra Double Cab Elevation for only $169 per month. Don't forget about the 2025 Hummer EV for only $699 per month. Get to Les Stanford today and check out their massive inventory. Les Stanford, Buick and GMC, lesstanford.com.
What up, though, people? Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. And you know what? Talking NBA, talking hoops, it's always a fun time. But what was not fun, seeing the Tigers get punched in the nose by the Orioles 10-1. But to me, the news that overshadowed that game, because obviously the Tigers still have an opportunity to win this series, was the news of Jackson Jobe being set to undergo Tommy John surgery. And goodness gracious, I just instantly got sad. It was like when I heard that news, I saw the instant reactions coming in, from, especially from our local personalities here. with what this season meant and with all the adversity that they had been able to hurdle up to this point, that was just the tough news to hear for a young player that we had high hopes for, Flannel.
Well, and this is where I think we can look at the Jackson Jobe thing in a myriad of different ways. For one, on a human level, you hate to see it for him. He's obviously one of the more hyped prospects / rookies in Major League Baseball. He's certainly had his ups and downs this season, but I think overall, if you look at what Jackson Jobe has done, he's had what Sean Baligian often refers to as a rookie season. The Tigers have won a lot of games with him on the mound. He's got a decent ERA, a little bit over 4. His whip is higher than you would like. His strikeout to walk ratio of 39-27 is not great. But at the end of the day, Tommy John surgery is a long recovery. All of that is stunted. Jackson Jobe is going to be tested in a way he's probably never been tested before. He's going to miss the rest of this season, probably all of next season, and he's not going to be a part of what we think could be a special playoff run. And that's something that a young player having to experience so early, it's going to be tough for him. I hope that he has the mental fortitude and attacks his rehab like a mofo and gets back better than ever, but it's certainly a blow for him and certainly a blow for anybody who is a fan of watching him pitch, because I'll tell you what, no matter what he does in games, even though he hasn't always been good, he was still somebody that I really enjoyed watching, because I know in terms of talent, he's got as much as any on this Tigers team, maybe in terms of pitchers not named Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, that was something where we're talking about how strong and dominant the starting pitching has been for the Detroit Tigers and just what it can mean for them in the playoffs. These are the things that can spur teams on. You get your pitchers hot, and they can carry you a long way. So when you're talking about losing to Jackson Jobe and you're talking about more of those bullpen nights, now you're stressing that a little bit more. I'm glad that if there's going to be a need that has to pop up, that it's something that happens before the trade deadline, because I'm glad the way that you put it as well. You know, I think that you put it well. That's what I'll say, as it relates to what this means for a young player in his career, the hope that we had, the hype that we had. I remember when he made the start last year or was called into the game last year, how pumped up all of us were. I remember the group chat going crazy. You know, and comparing him in looks and features to one of our own baseball guys, Ryan Lentz. And so that's where it's just like, gosh, man, because we've bought into this team. We've bought into these players. But that's where I'm very comfortable with Harris. I'm very comfortable with Hinch and whatever this team is going to do to overcome this adversity. But I feel like to this point that this is probably the biggest adversity they faced this season, but at least it's happened before the trade deadline.
Well, and that's the thing too. This team has faced adversity. I don't even know if it's the biggest. I mean, I get it because it's Tommy John, because it's such like Tommy John has a certain connotation. It feels like a death sentence, even though it's technically not. More on that in a second, but they've dealt with injuries all season long and thrived. I could list them again. Casey Mize was on the IL and back. Reese Olson is still on the IL. Parker Meadows missed like the first 60 games. Wenzel Perez missed the first 50 or so, and now he's come back and raking. Gleyber Torres even had a short stint at the beginning of the year, and that's one of the reasons why, and this is where I'm going to try to put a positive spin on this, not to be callous about Jackson Jobe's injury, but ultimately life goes on, the season goes on. I don't think Jackson Jobe being hurt is going to affect the Tigers' World Series chances at all, because ultimately I don't think he was going to be a part of the World Series rotation. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have started a playoff game, but I don't even know necessarily about that. We all know Tarek Skubal, he's the ace. Casey Mize right now is a better pitcher. Reese Olson right now is a better pitcher. Jack Flaherty right now is a better pitcher. I actually think the question is, who's better right now, Kiter Montero or Jackson Jobe? And a conversation is there to be had. Obviously, Jackson Jobe's a rookie, and oftentimes it takes time for pitchers to really come into their own. I mean, look at Tarek Skubal as a great example, and even Justin Verlander back in the day. But right now, given that Jackson Jobe is a rookie dealing with everything he was dealing with as a rookie, I don't think he was going to play that big of a factor in the Tigers, whether they succeeded or failed in the playoffs, especially when you compound that with the bullpen, with Tommy Kahnle, with Will Vest, with guys like Brant Herter, who can be long relievers. Maybe they add someone at the deadline. I don't think Jackson Jobe's injury affects the Tigers' World Series chances at all.
Where I look at it is more or less in the regular season. We talk about how Tarek Skubal is somebody that can help rest up what we believe to be a really, really good bullpen. And that's where, when I do believe when you lose a starter from the regular season, you're now putting more pressure, more innings, more anxiety on these bullpen arms that, yes, in a perfect world in the playoffs and you shorten things up, sure, you could potentially get by. But what type of team are you when you get there? And that, to me, is where the concern is. We've talked about the depth of this team. We've talked about how stamina, how fresh, and how, this team has the opportunity to get healthy going into the playoffs. So to me, and to keep themselves fresh, I have to keep it consistent. If I'm talking about how good these starters are, and how many innings that they have an opportunity to eat up, and how they're able to keep this bullpen that much fresh, there's no way, in heck that I'm sitting here looking at Jackson Jobe as any type of positive towards that feat. This is not going to this is not going to make it easier on the team by any stretch of the imagination. And so that's where, when I look at this, I'm like, I would have liked to have him a part of this regular season rotation, as well as be a part of whatever playoff pitching depth that they do have, because Jackson Jobe is a contributor. You're right as it relates to, the conversation of where you would rank him amongst the starters, but as it relates to the role that he's playing and how he's able to help the squad, that's what I've liked this year. This team has been able to rely on depth, and they've been able to allow players up to this point, at the very least, to even, hey, look, I got to take some time off. That's what I've liked about the squad, and I thought that it was setting them up very, very well to go into the playoffs and not run out of gas and have their best stuff.
Well, and I hope I'm not misconstrued as like Jackson Jobe being out is perfectly fine and everything's awesome. I'm not trying to be callous like that. It's just when you're right. Having Jackson Jobe in the regular season as like an every 5th day guy or every 6th day guy, maybe he spends a stint on the IL or two, we don't know, maybe gets a couple starts skipped, that would be valuable. To me, where the Tigers are set up, things can happen, but I think that they have enough in the regular season and the playoffs to carry them through. And I think when you're a Tigers team that is still 19 games over 500, still has a heavy lead in the AL Central, I have to, when I'm talking about what I really think, I have to look at it in sort of a callous way. And that's why I started it with Jackson Jobe. I feel for him. I know it's going to be tough. It's going to test him mentally and physically. But at the end of the day, we can't, cry too long because the Tigers still have a season to finish, and I still think that they have enough. I think everything's going to be fine. I think the Tigers have enough, and I ultimately think when it's all said and done that Jackson Jobe is better for this.
Yeah, 100%. And I do believe they have enough, not just as it relates to the players on the field to continue to overcome, but also in the front office. That to me is where I'm like, you know what? When you do face some type of adversity, they've figured out how to do this on the field. They figured out how to do this from the coaching staff, and now we've also realized they know how to do this aptly much better from the front office than they did underneath previous regimes. They've been able to put it all together. Young players, free agents, and what do we need to augment this team to get it to the next level? And that's why I continue to say, maybe there's multiple, if this is going to happen now for him, and let it happen right now, both for his career early on and what it means for his recovery. As a young pitcher, because I know Nick was harping on that, the top prospects out of high school and the stress that puts on their arms, as well as, what it means for the Tigers right now before the trade deadline with a Scott Harris who seems to be aggressively in a position, aggressively of mindset to get something done to bolster this team.
Well, and this is where the ultimate positivity comes into it. Maybe not necessarily more than I think the Tigers can still win the World Series, but this is also another angle to it. Tommy John surgery, even though it sounds scary and daunting, you're noticing it's becoming more and more common amongst young pitchers, amongst even veterans who get the surgery and come back pretty much better than ever. You've seen pitchers like Jamison Tyone and Walker Buehler, for example, get it twice and come back both times and succeed. And Ryan, if you've got that, I've got a list of just notable Tommy John pitchers. And these aren't all of them. These are just a few that I picked out since 2010. Jacob deGrom. He got it in 2010, has won multiple Cy Young since then, I believe, too. Steven Strasburg, multiple 3-time All-Star, World Series MVP. Adam Wainwright, multiple-time All-Star. When I'm giving these these accomplishments. This was after their Tommy John surgery. Max Fried, multiple-time All-Star, gonna be in the Cy Young running for the AL right now. We know how big time he's been for the Yankees and in previous stops for the Braves. Zach Wheeler, multiple-time All-Star. Yu Darvish, multiple-time All-Star. Walker Buehler, multiple-time All-Star. Chris Sale and Justin Verlander had it as old men, or baseball old men. Both came back and both won a Cy Young as older baseball men, Verlander being a little older than Sale. Tommy Kahnle, we know how good he's been for the Tigers in the bullpen and how good he was for the Yankees. Chris Bubich has by far been the best he has ever been as a pitcher since coming back from Tommy John surgery. Before that, he was just an okay guy, and now this year he's in the Cy Young contention for the AL with the Kansas City Royals, and of course we all know Tarek Skubal had it done in college. Unfortunately, even though it's a surgery that has a long recovery, it happens to the best of them, as you see right here, and they've all came back, and they've all came back very, very strong. I hope that Jackson Jobe gets the same fate, and I think if he doesn't, it has nothing to do with lingering effects from Tommy John. It's just because he was never meant to be as good as those guys. But he has the talent. We all know he has the talent.
Yeah, definitely. And I see Steve O'Baby in the chat. This is a good list, Flannel. Thank you for preparing that and going over it. He says, Kool-Aid, I believe when a player gets injured, another player steps up for the team, whether it's Pistons, Red Wings, Tigers, or Lions. It is what it is. And you know what? They've proven that. That's why I'm glad that over the first, what's now coming up on 70 games of the season, this team has proven that they can overcome. This one isn't obviously as big as if it was one of those first four pitchers in their starting rotation, but it is something in which when you hear Jackson Jobe, Tommy John, the hope, what the future is supposed to be, and what the expectation is for this season, it does make you pause just a little bit because they haven't faced that type of adversity, especially as a Lions fan. I'm still kind of like, whenever I'm hearing injuries and then Isaiah Stewart getting injured for the Pistons, I'm just like, I'm shuddering right now. But I'm still confident, still highly confident in this team. Sometimes you got to go through the therapy of it all. Sometimes you got to talk it out. Sometimes you got to remember what you do have good. And that's what's awesome about these teams, Steve O'Baby. When you list these squads, especially the three that have made the playoffs, you recognize that they're healthy. They have proven that they have what they need, both all three levels, on the field or court, or on the front office or within coaching, to be able to get something done. And that's where I've just been kind of paying attention to some of the comments from Mr. Harris, and that's what makes me very, very intrigued for what's ahead for this team.
Yeah, and when we talk about players stepping up, as Steve O'Baby talked about at the beginning, Kiter Montero's going to maybe play a bigger role in the postseason rotation. Maybe not, but certainly more than if Jobe was healthy. You look at somebody like Sawyer Gibson-Long, who got a start and also was used as a middle reliever, but was actually more of a starter with an opener. We saw Kiter Montero used in that capacity as well. That's what the Tigers are going to have to do. And also right now, Reese Olson is out, although that's a finger. We expect him back soon. The Tigers, as I said yesterday, they're not a team that the injury gods have smiled upon this year. They've continued to fight through adversity, and I think they're going to, for the rest of the year, at the very least, hold on to the division title. The playoffs are a different animal, but we'll see.
And you know what? It wouldn't be right if we didn't have a drive-by. El Avila getting some shots here. Brian Satterley Music in the chat says, I blame El Avila for not doing his homework on Jobe. You don't draft high school players in the top 3. And he has the emoji where the mouth is blocked out and is mad, and you could tell it's supposed to be.
I mean, here's the thing.
For our podcast listeners.
The big question is going to be, because we saw Marcelo Mayer get called up for the Boston Red Sox. That's who a lot of the fans wanted. That's probably who I would have picked if I were Al Avila, quite frankly. And if he goes on to have a great career for Boston or for any other team, and Jackson Jobe ends up being somebody like Casey Mize, who continues to suffer through injuries. Not saying Casey Mize isn't good now, but you know what I mean. Continues to suffer through injuries. It'll be a conversation.
Do you know what I see in the chat right now?
What do you see?
I see Big Con 51 and some people are agreeing with him. Go get Verlander.
Fine.
That's right, man.
Fine.
Who doesn't love a good retread here in Detroit?
Oh my God! If he helped the Tigers get a World Series here after all that,
man. I don't even want to think that it's possible because I know that I don't think that that's going to happen, man. I really don't.
I don't
but it would
either.
It would be amazing. You talk about the story. You talk about what this team is poised to do right now and having just another pitcher that understands what it means to win here, can contribute in some ways, and be able to get some tutelage as a World Series winner. Goodness gracious.
And I obviously don't know if it's possible. He's not really having that great of a year, and he's on the IL. But if it were to happen, since it was brought up, if Justin Verlander could somehow be a World Series hero in Detroit after not being the best World Series pitcher, but being obviously a great
pitcher in World Series history.
Shout out Neil Rule.
More people for Verlander in the chat, man.
But if he finally has that amazing dominant World Series run this year for the Tigers, my goodness, his standing in baseball history would go up. He's already one of the best pitchers of this era and an all-time great and a Hall of Famer. But man, even just for storyline, are you kidding me?
Weezy D, if we bring JV home, Scoob will get jealous.
Okay. No.
Dog, we got a little bit more to talk about today on the show, but I want to be able to give that dude Justin your take on this thing, man. With Jackson Jobe, the Tigers, their outlook, and how you feeling just overall, man. I see you're looking a little sad too, a little down.
Yeah, I think that, it's really unfortunate injury for Jobe. You never want to see a young pitcher go out and get Tommy John, but I do have faith that he will come back. I just do think now it becomes an even more of a premium to bring in another starting pitcher at their deadline just to make sure that you have enough when it comes to the playoffs, because he was improving at a vast rate, and I did like what I was seeing from him. I thought he was going to be a key contributor in the playoff run, even if it was just as a bullpen piece and just coming in for some relief to eat up a couple of innings, like a 3-inning out of the bullpen type deal. So I think that this is going to even make Scott Harris, after he said he was going to be aggressive and no one is untouchable yesterday in his interview, I think that this amplifies that and makes him even more aggressive because he knows that they need to pick up more pieces to be able to compete with the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Kvassier, Chase?
I mean, it's unfortunate. Obviously, he could have had this whole season to just kind of grow and develop. What really sucks, and what I'm thinking about it is if we don't end up extending Skubal, the runway for Jobe to get that experience and those reps in has completely vanished. He's probably not going to pitch again until the end of Skubal's current contract, and it's something that we have to kind of think about. If we are we might have gotten the only chances to see Jobe and Skubal in a rotation together if we don't re-sign Skubal. And I mean that how what this window looks like in these next 2 years with Skubal, and then after Skubal, I think we have to take off the rose-colored glasses a little bit and start to, see things clearly with, 20/20 vision.
Well, and that's where is the pressure going to be on Jackson Jobe to be the successor to Skubal? God, I don't even want to think about. I want to focus on the Tigers just winning the World Series this year, but you got to bring that up. You got to bring that up, and that's fair. You brought down the mood a little bit, Chase, but we have to have these. We have to have these uncomfortable conversations.
It's been real.
We have to have these uncomfortable conversations because we were all in absolute bliss over the Tigers season. How often have we came in here today, on victory days, and just wilded out and talked a bunch of stuff, which we have the right to do, by the way, because the Tigers are good.
Even when we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable a little bit with the Casey Mize news, and he came back, we were like, "Ooh, good.
We're good."
But now, I feel you, man.
It was yesterday was the worst day of the Tigers season, I think. And it's more because of Jackson Jobe, but also because Jackson Jobe and they just fell apart late in the game. And for the record, just to put some levity to it, the Tigers do have Skubal going in Game 3. They have a chance to win yet another series, and that's ultimately what baseball is about, winning series. That's why I believe they still have the best record in baseball. It's either them or the Mets because they just win series, even if it's 2-1 or 3-1 or which is usually what it's been. That's what baseball is all about. So go win the series. Go take a little bit of the bad taste that us Tiger fans have after yesterday, and then everything's okay, at least for this season.
Yeah, and just to update people, the Mets have taken that lead. They are half game over the Tigers. For the best record in all of baseball.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In the American League, there's still a game and a half up on the Yankees, and some of those Central teams are starting to tumble a little bit down those rankings too. So they're now 7 games up on the Twins, 8 games up on the Guardians. and you see Houston and Toronto just behind the Yankees in the standings. So, hey, Tigers still have everything out in front of them. I still believe in the makeup of this team. And honestly, I think though we all want to see Sky Harris go out there and make some tweak to bolster this World Series run, it's awesome to know that everybody believes in what the Tigers team can be to at least overcome as currently constructed. So, and you know what?
Yeah, Tigers beat this team down tonight because they let Zach Eflin get a little bit, and I'm not mad at them for it because it's just one loss, but when you just look at who the Orioles keep sending to the mound, it's like, I think tonight's a night where the offense needs a bit of a get back. They've got a Dean Kramer, I believe. He's got a 4.98 ERA and a 1.41 WHIP. Beat him to shit. Because if the Orioles actually win this series, it's not panic time or anything, but that's when we could actually, I think, be a little bit critical of, ooh, that wasn't so great. Put up at least a 7 spot tonight.
I don't know if people seen the movie Hot Rod, but I feel like you're on that energy right now. You want them to be on that energy.
Who was
that? Was that Danny McBride?
You look shitty, Denise.
I've been drinking green tea all gosh darn day. You got to be on that energy.
I will. Put up. Yes, just take out the trash, as I said before.
That's right.
Skubal versus Dean Kramer. They're not even pitching in the same sport.
This is another series win. If you ask me, let's go around real quick just before we TLB. Series win for you. Everybody predicting series win?
Yes.
Everybody. Intern Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. I was just making sure. You have some takes over there. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but I was about to say.
Hey, we got Skubal on the mound here one of these days, right?
We do it tonight.
Tonight, yeah. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah,
what were you about to say, Flannel?
I was gonna say for a second there, I was like, are you about to predict like a Dean Kramer shutout or something?
I'm getting a little nervous, man. But shout out to intern Ryan. He's over in the TD booth right now, holding it down. He got JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP, training him over there. So shout out to the guys who are taking some, they want to get better. They want to learn. So shout out to you, man, for expanding. But
man.
we got a TLB.
We will, but. Wheezy D313, he's setting it up right now. He's setting it up. They said Cade Povich sucks. Wheezy, I want to get inside your mind one day on why you feel this way about so many of these dudes. I mean, he's talented, obviously. He's somebody that was pretty high up in the Orioles system, but he's been dog water. He's been horrific. I guess it's investing maybe, like I'm not going to go there. I'm going to get canceled. But you know what I mean. Investing in a player so that you can victory lap 3 years down the road.
Who we say hello to?
We'll finish that thought in the break, Sam. I want to hear this.
Yeah. We got to get you some merch, man. Let's go.
That's you, Ryan.
Get the people some merch, Ryan. Tell them where they can go.
Did someone say merch? Yeah, make sure you guys head over to woodwardsports.com and click under the shop.
I'm going to get Ryan that tab. Detroit sign shirt.
Hey, I don't have much Detroit merch, if I'm being completely honest. I got about a Cade Cunningham jersey, and that's really about it. But if you're heading out to Comerica Park the rest of the summer or any other, or even the big 3 games this summer they got going on, you can rock some of this merch. But make sure you head over to woodwardsports.com and click under the shop tab.
Tired of losing out on the car of your dreams? Bad credit? No credit? At the Feldman Chevrolet Freedom Sale, we say yes. Over 5,000 new Chevys to choose from, all priced to move with our best deals of the year. Get a 2025 Silverado for just $149 a month, or this 2026 Equinox for only $209 a month. When other dealers say no, Feldman Chevrolet says yes. Don't miss the Freedom Sale, going on now at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you. You know how some things are so good they should be world famous, but they're not?
Our house-made vinaigrette is one of those things. And the antipasto salad, we drizzle it over. Same with our hand-battered chicken tenders. Original recipe soups and pasta sauces. It's almost as if our original, world-famous Detroit-style pizza is mocking them. And that's not very nice.
Planet Fitness, fitness that fits your budget. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, friendly, knowledgeable staff, and a totally judgment-free atmosphere. Did you know that all Planet Fitness memberships include fitness training for no extra cost? Want all the perks? Upgrade to the PF Black Card and enjoy use of amenities such as unlimited use of the Black Card Spa featuring hydro massage, massage chairs, and total body enhancement, and more, along with access to over 2,500 locations worldwide and unlimited guest privileges. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com.
Hey, JB Smooth. I know that we got to clear up some super chats, man. The people have been supporting. Shout out to you, chat family, for supporting the WUW Crew. Smash that like button if you haven't gotten the opportunity to. And JB, if we got any super chats, we'll get to those first.
Oh yeah.
Then we have to satisfy that like button. We haven't done it all week, and it's starting to look at us like kind of side eye, man. It's like, yo, why not me? Have you been getting satisfied somewhere else? No, like button. We just been grinding and working. We got you today. And then we got a TLB word to our brother Broder.
Shout out.
Over to Mr. MVP himself, JB Smooth.
Shout out to everyone sending in super chats. This is from earlier from Nobody. He said, I just love seeing Sam miserable. It warms my heart. This is when we were talking about the Pacers.
Well, you must have loved today.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, shoot. But you know what makes me feel better? The fact that they're dropping an absolute banger in Lady Jane's right now. Outside, Calvin Harris featuring Ellie Goulding. Let's go. I feel better now.
That's making them feel better. And also, shout out to, I'm going to butcher this, but Sergeant Curtis Schultz, Star Wars Squawk Box, for sending in $9.99. He said, send Sam home to get some ass. Sounds like sounds like it's been a few days and he's mad. Or give him a Snickers and Coke and a smile.
Maybe Sam needs to satisfy the like button.
And have a great day.
Oh, he said he loves the passion, though.
Have a great day.
There is nothing that can make me feel better after moments like that because I have to talk about it. I guess we don't have to talk about the Pacers, but with how bad I've dogged Halliburton, I gotta keep it real.
We cover the NBA here at the network and on the show, man. Like it was appropriate. Do we have any more super chats?
No,
because I think that's a perfect segue to satisfying the like button. Perfectly. So Sam can get some action right now with the like button. Maybe it'll cool him out for the Detroit Lions talk, man. It'll hopefully this will pick you up. So, all right. Is it Cavassier?
Oh. I mean, I think it should be Sam.
I mean,
Sam, come on, bro.
That's not
One
really
time
what I do.
for the people.
All right,
time.
Fine.
Bro, I'm fired up right now. Y'all got Flannel Sam in the Riley Green jersey about to lead to satisfy that like button.
Let's do it.
Let's rock. JV's over there smiling.
All right, so I want to be respectful to my wife, no, but for real, I don't kiss and tell. Obviously, what happens there stays there, but I also don't want it to be implied in any way, shape, or form that she's like one of those who just like withholds and whatnot. So shout out to my wife. We have a very healthy relationship.
Smash the like button, y'all. And we got a TLB.
You could have just said press the like button.
Satisfy it. Chat family, let's go.
Harvey Wallbanger, boo, I'm taking my like back. Hey.
No. That was so worth the like. That was
worth it. You want to tell people what TLB means?
Talk Lions, bitch.
That was like when someone's like reads like extra virgin olive oil on the ingredients. Like, no, I don't want. I just want a regular amount. I don't want extra virgin olive oil. Shout out Nate Bargatze. That's what it is.
That was perfect.
Lunchbox, IDKY, but I think my wife divorced me after this.
I would got to
Xavier D, yes, the fictional wife pops up again. I'm 100% sure Kool-Aid's better. I know JB has. I'm not sure if anybody else has here, but
Oh man,
she's real.
She is real, man. I know they were a vibe too. I thought Flannel showed up to the Bullseye event group tailgate, the Lions VIP tailgate. I thought he showed up to work. No, man, he showed up. I remember he had one drink. She showed up with another drink. She was like, "I'm gonna get your food for you." I'm like, "Oh snap!" He got a few of them in him. He was like, "You know what, Kool-Aid, let's do the interview." And it was cool, man, to see you guys completely in like just Lions lore. You don't take very many days off, and I know you did work and to help us early on in that day, but it was cool to be able to see you, your girl. I think it was your mom that was out there as well. It was cool to see you guys in your element and just enjoying Detroit, man.
No, I definitely felt bad, but it was actually a birthday present from my mom. Actually, like bought it for all of us. So shout out to her.
Whoa, you serious? Them tickets are a grip, bro.
I know. Shout out to my mom.
Dog, man, and it was a fun time celebrating the Lions right in the middle of Detroit with a lot of you people out there. And now we got to talk about the Lions because there's a lot of expectations. Some of the people who don't know if the Lions are amongst the top of the top in the NFL. Hey, look, they give them an NFC North, an NFC, in the NFL, and they go right away to where those two coordinators. They don't even mention the injuries first. They believe, hey, look, they were 15-2. How can you talk about the injuries after what they did last year? But now they're losing the geniuses. You know, they propped up Dan Campbell apparently, right? Well, you know what? I like what Dan Campbell has to say right now, Flannel Sam in Pro Football Talk, at least about the defense.
Yep, Pro Football Talk came out with an article in which Dan Campbell is very complimentary of one Mr. Kelvin Shepherd. And if you've got that one, JB, Smooth.
Give me 1 second, my bad.
And when you put it up, would you mind doing the honors and reading it?
Oh yeah, not a problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Easy's last.
Yes, I did.
Oh, what did
We'll get
Easy
there.
say?
We will get there. I don't mean to interrupt.
It wasn't a super chat. I don't think.
Yes,
It wasn't a super chat. All right, never mind. So from Pro Football Talk, it says Lions head coach Dan Campbell promoted Kelvin Shepherd from linebackers coach to defensive coordinator this offseason, and Campbell says he's been very pleased with the progress he's seeing. Campbell said the Lions are probably more up to speed defensively than offensively, and that Shepherd has all the players and coaches on board with how he's running the defense. Everyone getting on the same page with how Shep wants to do things. We're cooking pretty good right now, Campbell said. The Lions lost defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn after the seasons when he became head coach of the Jets, and that's a significant loss considering how well Glenn did the job in Detroit. But Shepherd was an assistant under Glenn for all 4 of his years as the Lions defensive coordinator, and now he's stepping in and taking over the job. Campbell thinks Shepherd is more than ready.
You know what? What I love about this is that Dan Campbell is giving the stamp of approval. That, to me, is what makes me excited. We know that Kelvin Shepherd isn't somebody coming from the outside. We know that when the Lions did identify him, it was both from what he was internally here already as the Lions, but also the pedigree and the reputation he built up among some of the league's best coaches and players, that guy is a future coach. And I do believe that the trajectory for Kelvin Shepherd is going to be eventual head coach, but there are steps to this thing. And to see Dan Campbell saying that, you know what, the guys are getting it, where I believe it's more important for the defensive side of the ball right now to mesh with Kelvin Shepherd and what he's trying to do than it is on the offensive side of the ball, where I think you have a lot more cohesion over there, even with a Frank Ragnow who's retiring. And so when I look at this thing, it does excite me. We looked at last year this team where the defense was ahead of the offense, and what did it do? It helped them overcome some things. That to me is where I'm like, you know what? This is what you want to hear. This is the side of the ball where you had your questions about defense, about injuries, about is a secondary enough? What about those linebackers? Do we have enough at the pass rush? That's where when you talk about questions on the offensive side, if Frank Ragnow didn't retire, we're just really talking about how can we make this side of the ball even that much more elite. And realistically, with him retiring, when we talk about the offense, it's still just that. With the defense, we had some questions, but hearing this from a guy, from Dan Campbell himself, it makes me that much more confident in what Kelvin Shepherd is going to be as a defensive coordinator.
And absolutely. And shout out to Ed O'Neill for the super chat. Gibbs, offensive player of the year. Hutch, defensive player of the year. Lions 2 seed, hook in my vein. You know what? That's all on the table. I'll hook that in my vein as well. Abs. And like I said, that's not crazy talk. That's not slappy talk. Hutch is one of the favorites. I'd imagine Gibbs is one of the favorites for offensive player of the year. Yep, and Justin just confirmed that. Fourth, yeah, and Hutch what, first, second, third, something like that. Top 5, yeah, both top 5 in terms of.
I feel like if you're a Lions fan, you just parlay that just because.
Why not?
These guys are gonna have a great opportunity. But at least go on ahead and lay it 1-1.
Yeah, me and Sean both got $10 on Jamison Williams to win Offensive Player of the Year at plus 30,000.
I still
would pay out like $2,000 each.
Yeah, I saw some of the beat reporters were saying rumors. Jamison Williams extension with the Lions.
I still think that's lighting your money on fire, but it's just $10.
I mean, hey.
Hater.
There's a chance. There's a path. That's all that matters. There's a path.
We'll see how much he's involved in the run game, because I think that's ultimately the path. But no, when it comes to this defense, I think that, and don't get me wrong, if there was somebody out there who had more experience as a DC and was a better fit for the Lions job, I'm not saying that I would have been pissed if they would have hired him, but my point is with this is that this is the advantage to me of hiring somebody in-house, somebody who's worked with the linebacker group, somebody who's got very close on hands-on experience with a lot of these players. Some of those important players. Some of you trained to be a DC, and I think this is the advantage too, and this is why I think the defense may be well set up to be better in terms of being well coached and learned in terms of all of the schemes than even the offense. Because John Morton, he was here in 2022, and he does deserve some credit for the offense really taking off with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and 1,000-yard rusher in Jamal Williams, the offensive line really gelling. But he also hasn't been here the last 2 years for the 2 Lions playoff runs. So it might be a little bit of a slower start for the offense in terms of implementing things and the verbiage, the schemes and whatnot. But Kelvin Shepherd, this just shows me that he's sharp. He was always destined to be a defensive coordinator, and I think there's a very good chance that he does a fantastic job.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that we also have some comments that we will get to at a later segment, at a later show from one Jack Campbell about Kelvin Shepherd, which goes even more micro. It gets even more detailed about what they believe will present a little bit better underneath Kelvin Shepherd. And that's as it relates to Matthew Kruger's comment here. He says, you guys act like this is such news. Like Dan Campbell's not going to talk up his guys. Like he's going to throw them underneath the bus. There's never going to be anything negative. Think about this. How did we start last season? Him saying, the offense ain't up to it right now. He has had no problem being honest. That's one of the things that I've appreciated about Dan Campbell is he stepped up to the table, and when things haven't been getting done, they haven't been getting done. He talked about it in the game on national TV. Hey, we aren't doing our job. We went in at halftime and told the defense, we aren't doing what we do well. We create takeovers. We're going to have to go out here and create some takeovers. And then what is happening while the interview is going on, they go out there and do it. I appreciate that honesty, whether it's in-game or whether it's while this team is getting ready. And why do I call it honest? Because not only did he state what the issue was, he diagnosed it and stated when it would get better with the offense to start the season. And now we're sitting here right now, and it's the details that he stated that I appreciate from Dan Campbell. And it's that they're more sped up defensively than the offense right now. Everyone is getting on the same page with how Shep wants to do things. We're cooking pretty good right now. This isn't him just saying, Kelvin Shepherd's just doing he's a good coach. That's not him. He's going into detail about the fact that this team has to. We talked about it. What is one of the top things that they have to get over the hump or the hurdle of with a new coordinator? It is these things as it relates to the communication, the language, and how this coach likes to play things. If they're getting that done right now, and that Dan Campbell believes that they're ahead of schedule, I don't think that Dan Campbell will sit up there and say that they're ahead of schedule if they weren't. He's been honest throughout this tenure, and that's why I do believe it is noteworthy and newsworthy when everybody else out there is saying that these coordinators are the reasons why the Detroit Lions are no longer among the elite of the NFC even, let alone the NFL.
Well, and that's why it's noteworthy because, as you said, Kool-Aid, they're more up to speed defensively than offensively. It's not just, we love our coordinators and they're both doing a great job. Dan Campbell was very specific in how he worded it. And
bingo.
Yes, and even though
that spoke to me.
Yes, thank you. And even though Frank Ragnow, if Frank Ragnow just didn't have all of that attrition and wear and tear on his body and you could count on him this year to play, I would have said that it's definitely 1,000% more important for the defense to be more up to speed than the offense. But even with Frank Ragnow's retirement, and by the way, Frank Ragnow owes the Lions nothing. Love for Frank Ragnow. It's just an unfortunate situation. His body betrayed him. However, back to the point. When it comes to the defense, I'm not going to say that you have a lot of uncertainty, but you're going to start the season without Aleem McNeil and Malcolm Rodriguez. Tyleik Williams is going to probably be expected to play heavy snaps as a rookie. We know DJ Reed was really good with the Jets, but he's coming to a new team. It's going to be a different situation with him being CB1, with his CB2 being Terrion Arnold, who had an up-and-down rookie year. So and Hutch is coming back from injury, barely played the whole year. Derek Barnes is coming back from injury, barely played the whole year.
Rodrigo.
Marcus Davenport is coming back from injury, barely played the whole year. I already mentioned Rodrigo and Aleem, who aren't going to be playing to start the year. And I'm not saying that to be doom and gloom. I'm just giving the context of, wouldn't it be nice if the defense got more up to speed faster in terms of being well coached? Isn't it still more important that they get up to speed faster than the offense, even with Frank Ragnow's retirement? Because the defense, I think, is still where there's more uncertainty. With the example of Hutch, I don't expect him to have any ill effects from injury at all. However, I can't guarantee it. And we don't know what we're going to get from Marcus Davenport. We don't necessarily know what we're going to get from Barnes. Not going to get anything from Malcolm Rodriguez and Aleem McNeil to start the year. Alex Anzalone's there's a little bit of issues with his contract. Again, this isn't meant to be like gloom and doom. It's to be like the fact that they're more well coached is good.
I think it's the appropriate conversation. We're sitting here looking at the Detroit Lions in multiple ways, from analytical all the way down to the culture part of it, because that's what they do. They put this stuff out there on the front street too. And we see that it's made a difference for this squad. Now, this is a really big adversity that they're trying to bounce back from injuries to their star players, to both their coordinators are poached. Not just one, both of them are poached. And what they do, I like the fact that he reached in to make sure that the DNA, both of the coordinators, whether it's one from in-house who has been here or one that used to be here and helped lay the foundation of the offense, I'm fine with that. When I think about sped up, I don't think that Dan Campbell, when he's saying that the defense is a little bit more sped up than the offense, I think that he just means rhythm, timing, and some of those things with the offense can only realistically be figured out through games. And that's what we saw. And that's where Dan Campbell last year was able to say, hey, look, this team is going to get right offensively around week 5 or week 6. And when you looked at the tape, it wasn't that the calls weren't there. It wasn't that they were confused. It was the fact that this team just didn't have their timing and their chemistry and their rhythm down. And as soon as it hit, and mind you, they were still putting up some pretty good numbers during that stretch, but when it hit, they started bludgeoning teams BTA. Why? I do believe that Ben Johnson deserves a lot of credit for that. But I do believe that this is the core offense, and people both locally and nationally have said this is Dan Campbell's offense that he's gotten from some of his predecessors, some of the people that he learned from prior. So that's where I'm confident. Now you're bringing in John Morton, who helped lay this groundwork. Why? Because this offense, man. Jared Goff was top 5 MVP, and there's some people who believe that that's more due to Ben Johnson. But you look at all the steps forward that these players took on this team, and just how reliable Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be. And that, to me, is where I'm excited about what the offense will be. These players perform. I'm not going to slight Brad Holmes one bit. I'm not going to slight Dan Campbell one bit and act as if these players who we've seen playing up to this point is a product of what Ben Johnson has made them. No, I believe that with this offense, John Morton is obviously going to change up some terminology, change up some of the looks of the trick plays, change up probably how they press downfield. Like, does downfield plays have to come off of, I want to see the percentage, as high a percentage as Ben Johnson did off of trick plays, or can we actually line up and get a downfield play just because J-Mo is faster than your guys? And so I look forward to it. And John Morton has talked about it. And it's appropriate because hint, I see what he says. I sent in the super chat. He says, I don't know what it is, but I'm not sold on John Morton.
Ooh. And all right, so yeah, you know what? Let's go to break. That's an interesting kind of topic on the fly. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. We can let's wrap it out a little bit. I think that's something that we could discuss.
I wonder how concerned people are with it, man. Like, which one do they have right now? Which one are you more confident in? The offense underneath John Morton or the defense underneath Calvin Shepard? Can we get that poll, JB Smooth? Let's see which coordinator and side of the ball that the people right now are more confident in. And I want to see what you guys got to say about Calvin Shepard, about John Morton as we get into it, because Super Chat is speaking right now.
Super Chat speaking, but before we get to Chase for massage chair, WeezyD313 is speaking my language. Anzo going to be ready. I hope so. He just needs to STFU. Get off social media, Mr.
Y'all
Anzo.
been kumbayaing a lot, man. You and WeezyD313.
But very much not so on Halliburton, but I give credit where credit's due.
All right, let's get on to the next segment. Do we need to double up at all, JB Smooth?
Yeah, we'll double up. Let's do Massage Chair House and Caesars.
That's right.
Are you looking to upgrade your relaxation game? Well, check out the Massage Chair House in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, the largest massage chair showroom in the Midwest, with top brands for massage chairs like Infinity or Osaki. Sounds Japanese, so you know it's pretty good. Located near the corner of Woodward and Long Lake Road, experience luxury comfort with Dr. Eric Duncan, the Wellness Doc, creator of the top YouTube massage channel reviewed. Book a visit at www.massagechairhouse.com or scan the QR code. Massage Chair House, your ticket to ultimate recovery and relaxation.
And while you're chilling in that massage chair, play some bets with Caesars Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of us here at Woodward Sports. Scan the QR code on screen. Use code word Woodward1000. You can deposit up to $1,000, but all you have to do is place a minimum of a $20 bet. And if it doesn't hit, Caesars is so cool, they will throw it right back into your account with no questions asked. So if you were in your massage chair betting on the Thunder, guess what? That 20 is right back into your account to do it again tonight for the Stanley Cup Finals. So head over to Caesars Sportsbook and make some money tonight.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Are you a real Detroit sports fan? Woodward Sports is here to give you all the Detroit sports you can handle. Weekdays, make sure you're locked in on Wake Up Woodward from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Followed by Big D Energy with Neil Rule and Darren McCarty from 11 a.m. to 1. Up next, you can't miss Ermanni and Edwards with Maz from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And finish the day out with the bad boys of Detroit sports media, the Woodward Heavyweights, from 5 to 7 p.m. Okay, wait, that isn't enough for you, you sports freak. Check out Woodward Wings, Woodward Ringside, and the Lions Weekly Update every Sunday with Broder, Terry Foster, and Sean Belegian. Subscribe on YouTube for all our great content, and make sure you're following on all social media, X, IG, Facebook, and TikTok. You want sports? We got you covered. Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
It's part beauty, part beast. It's for those who dare to be different, for those who want to stand out, and for those who are built for more. The all-new Ineos Grenadier combines strength and style for an unmatched driving experience. Sold exclusively at Feldman Ineos of Waterford.
Pizza's been serving the original Detroit-style pizza since 1946, and 79 years later, they got 22 locations in the great state of Pure, Michigan. And fans can still visit where it all began on the corner of 6 Mile and Conant. Sign up for Buddy's Rewards to earn points on every purchase and receive exclusive promotions. Download the Buddy's Pizza mobile app and start earning today. Add some Detroit style to your next meal. And remember, guys, you can save 10% off your entire order using promo code 10MEAL. That is the number 10MEAL, buddyspizza.com. And attention sports fans, so that should be all of you. Don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce on Big D Energy every Tuesday, every Thursday on Ermanni and Edwards, especially if you guys are fans of the secret sauce. All right, anyway, he's giving you top-notch injury advice, and he's keeping you guys updated on the injury news and rehab news of your players. And shout out to Dr. Pierce as well, being a part of the medical team for the big Detroit Ants, which is their Big 3 team that's just coming here. Trust the guy that DMAC does. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944. Hey, and we are back. It is Wake Up Woodward, and we are TLBing Tell the people, update them again, man.
Talk Lions, bitch.
Hey, you know what? We had the super chat that came in that cast some doubt on John Morton and people's belief in him. And I thought that this was an appropriate response from Attila the Hun in the chat. Morton never had the skilled players and talent he has now. He was in the Jets, and those players will be on a practice squad here. And when you talk about what he was early on in his tenure here to help, what Dan Campbell out of his own mouth said, that the offense that Ben Johnson ran, the offense that the Lions run, that John Morton was the one who actually laid the foundation. So if Dan Campbell and what he had gotten previously is effectively the architect, that John Morton was the foundation layer. He was the one, the builder, who went out there and constructed what then Ben Johnson came and was able to bring his intellect and his innovation and innovate on top of. Now you're talking about doing this with a different set of dogs than he had during his time before with Detroit.
Well, and the thing about John Morton, and I just have to get this out of the way because I know Justin definitely wants to speak on Mr. John Morton. He's very high on him. And I'm dead serious, and this matters. I don't think people think, and I certainly don't. I think we've been conditioned to think that offensive geniuses and offensive coordinators just have a certain look about them. They look like Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell, Cliff Kingsbury, those types, those younger guys, some of them former players, some of them kind of like could be GQ models if they weren't coaching. Some of them will be hipsters like Mike McDaniel. Like that's what we're used to seeing. Obviously, you've got guys like Andy Reid and Sean Payton who are Super Bowl winning coaches, and even Todd Monken for Baltimore. But mostly they're these young, innovative boy genius types. That's not John Morton. John Morton is kind of a gruff football guy.
You're trying to tell me meat and potatoes.
That's what
all meat, no sides. The flannel special.
And for the record, I don't think that necessarily has a lot of merit to it, because I think if you can do the job, you can do the job. But I honestly think that that's part of it, and the fact that he didn't have a ton of what you would call play calling experience. But here's the thing: Ben Johnson didn't either. You never know what someone is capable of until you put them in that position. And John Morton actually, I think, did a pretty nice job in 2017 with the Jets with what he was given to work with. But you don't always hire known people who've called plays before. OC is a job that former positional coaches get, former passing game coordinators get, and you just have to see if they could do the job. It worked with Ben Johnson. Hopefully it works with John Morton. But even if John Morton isn't a phenomenal play caller, this offense is just too good to fail. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think I could call this team's offense and they would be borderline top 10. Not because I'm any good at calling plays. It's because they're a damn good offense that have played together for a long time. Obviously Ragnow hurts, but still, I think I could still call this to a top 15 offense minimum.
Sometimes as good as their offense look, it feels like I could be out there like, all right, on this play, J-Mo, just run faster than everybody else. And then golf, throw it to him. And then if he's not open, Amon-Ra's going to be across the middle of the field and just throw it to him too. To me, it felt like sometimes that was how easy and how just smooth as butter this Lions offense worked. And so I definitely understand people who have looked at this side of the ball as elite, as a strength, as one of the best in all of football, has gone out there and had people like Chris Christie crying about what they did to Jerry,
Chris Christie.
Yes, he was crying.
Oh, he's classless. I remember.
He called Dan Campbell classless after they went into Jerry's world and left nothing to doubt. The previous year when they played it safe and they got burned, people said, well, you should have went in there and beat him. Well, then he went in there and beat him. It reminds me of the Drake and the Kendrick beef. People sitting here wondering, why did he make Not Like Us? Oh, you had to make a popular song. You go back to the early beginnings of that beef, and it was Drake saying, no one's going to remember this. It's not a popular song. Yeah, that was what reminded me. So now y'all go back to this Lions thing. So he came back. That's beef on a completely different mental level, by the way. Like, I'm going to make a popular one that will win a Grammy. He said, he ain't win no Grammys. That was an early beef. Kendrick, he sized up on it. You look at the Lions. When they went in, people said, y'all played with the Cowboys. If y'all was so better, y'all should have went there. If your offense was this, if your coach was so smart. We heard all that narrative, and clearly they did too. Did they leave anything to chance in that other Dallas Cowboys game? And so they continued to go out there and put a lot of points up on teams, and it caused even national media to start saying, this squad and their offense is crazy, and they were carrying a lot of effectively what they were losing on defense, those players. This offense was making sure that there was no effect felt. And so that's why I do want to make sure that we do pay some attention to it with them changing coordinators, because Ben Johnson was special. But I just caution people, it's not like they're just grabbing John Morton from somewhere else. Just and he never had anything to do with what Ben Johnson was doing here. No, these guys are going to be forever intrinsically linked with the Lions. You cannot mention success of Ben Johnson without mentioning the fact that Dan Campbell out of his own mouth said that that offense, that foundation was poured and laid by John Morton. That, to me, is what makes me comfortable. Our chat, they're not as comfortable right now. They believe that the coordinator they are most confident in is the one who hasn't even been a head coordinator yet. They think Calvin Shepard. It is 80% to 20% over John Morton.
Well, we also led with an article saying that when Dan Campbell said the defense was ahead right now, and Calvin Shepard, he's been in-house consecutively for I think 3 or 4 years, whereas John Morton, he went and took another job in 2023 and 2024. I think that explains it more than people just don't believe in John Morton. I just think people believe more in Calvin Shepard for now, but that could change. I still think people don't even really have a good idea of who John Morton is, but they're going to learn.
But
they're
really
going to find
mess
out.
it up when you got that two-headed
I don't
monster
think you can.
in the backfield?
Barring injury, of course.
I know
but
that dude Justin was kind of, when we were going through the process, I just continue to look at his face because he'd been seething over some of these notions. And you know what, Justin, it's changed just a little bit. It's gone from 80-20 to 75-25, but in large part, people are much more confident in Calvin Shepard at the moment than John Morton. And to be fair, Dan Campbell did say that the defense is a little bit more sped up. But even then last year, even when he said, well, it's going to take the offense 5 or 6 weeks, I was still more confident in the offense being the elite unit than I was the defense. I just knew it was going to take a little time. But how you feeling about this, man?
I think that it should be closer. I don't think that there's a vast difference between the two in terms of the new coordinators taking over. I do have faith in Calvin Shepard because I just think there's a lot more veteran. No, there's not, because there's Taylor Decker, there's Penei Sewell, and Jared Goff. So I really think it ultimately is both these coordinators are bred to be successful. They both have similar systems to the system they're taking over. So there's minor tweaks, there's minor things that the players have to adjust to, and it's just about laying that foundation. So yeah, maybe they look a little discombobulated the first week or two of the season, but with the amount of players that we have that are elite at their own position, and you can value PFF, you cannot value PFF, but the Lions had a top 10 player at every single position group on the field. Like, they are so elite around the entire field where you can replace coordinators and be like, all right, let's just keep going. I mean, you saw how great dynasties had to do that, like the Patriots, where they didn't always retain their guys, but they constantly had people coming in and coming out, but they were coming in to the system that Bill Belichick had created and the strong culture that the Patriots had. And that's what's similar about the Lions now. They actually have that strong culture. They have that strong leader in Dan Campbell, where I have no worries about Morton or Shepard taking over these vastly talented groups of players that the Lions have.
Yeah, man, you're spitting facts over there, man, because this is what happens. The good teams, they see their coordinators get poached, and you're exactly right. You mentioned that this is on the head coach. Is your head coach one who is a good leader and a good manager, or is your head coach one that's also a facilitator and part of the architect? That, to me, is what shows the difference. You could tell Belichick is part of the architect, not just a good leader. Dan Campbell is part of the architect. That's what makes me that much more confident in this thing. And we've seen him be able to move quickly. Why? Why did he move quickly from Lynn? Why did he know, you know what, I'm going to have to make a change? Because he's the architect. Sometimes we see some of these other coaches we've had that have been good leaders of men, but they haven't necessarily been the best assessors of, game management, game decisions, what to do. Everybody here knows that the aggressiveness that the Lions show is a Dan Campbell thing on those fourth downs. That shows that he has some decision making. And he's calling these things where they matter most in the pressure situations. As much as I loved Caldwell, I love Jim Caldwell as the Lions coach. And I wish he got a little bit longer time here. There's no way I can sit up here and tell you guys that from, in-game decision-making standpoint, that I have had anywhere near the level of confidence in him that I do in Dan Campbell. And that, to me, is what makes me very, very confident in this thing. We've seen Dan Campbell as a coach. We've seen Dan Campbell make decisions. We've seen Dan Campbell say, buck the trends, buck what you guys are doing, the narratives. And we've seen him be able to navigate this offense with different coaches, different positional coaches, and they've been only improving year after year after year. And so that's where I am confident in this team. And I see Detroit, what up though with Detroit Gunny, he thinks the poll is skewed in terms of asking which coordinator we're more confident in. He believes which are you more confident? Which do you have more confidence in, offense or defense, for the 2025 Lions? And that's where I do believe, like you said, it's going to be tough for John Morton to F this up. But that, to me, even, I feel like it's just slightly disrespectful to a guy who Dan Campbell believes is legit.
I mean, I think if we're asking who I'm more confident in right now, I'd probably still say offense. If Frank Ragnow were here, it would be offense, no question about it. Because with Frank Ragnow, we already know that they're capable of being the best offense in the whole bleeping NFL. Without him, we'll see. It might be a bit of a learning curve. But still, for now, I'm going to go with offense. That could change, though. We'll see if Aiden Hutchinson comes back and it hits the ground running. If the Lions maybe signs Zadarius Smith, we might be having another
soon
back on that trade. It's
quote Zadarius.
Right now in the offseason, we're allowed for everything to be fluid. We don't have to plant our flag when it comes to, I think Kelvin Shepard's going to be better. I think John Morton's going to be better. It's the offseason for a reason. We still aren't going to be suiting up and playing NFL games for 3 months.
I wonder how many of the Lions fans feel like this, though. Regardless of which one you have more confidence in, coordinators, or which side of the ball, offense or defense, I wonder how many of them believe, though, that Dan Campbell made the right decisions. I wonder how many of them are confident in his decision to select these coordinators and what the way forward is going to be for this offense. Because ultimately, that's where this thing rests and lies. We know that we don't have a head coach who is just like, okay, I have to rely on my coordinators, on my offensive and my defensive coordinators to get the thing done, and I'll just manage the players and rely on these guys for the strategy or in-game decision. No, we have a guy who we know is a lot smarter than people wanted to give him credit for on his day one press conference, and we have a guy that's proven that. We have players that have stepped up and said Dan Campbell is a difference maker from a head coach. We've had players that's been here. We've had players that's left here and said this. So that's where I am at the end of the day, putting my confidence in Dan Campbell, which ultimately makes me that much more confident in Morton and Shepard. I believe that this team is going to see the offense continue to be one of the most elite and be a juggernaut. You got dogs, man, as we've all pointed out this morning. And don't sleep on the defense as they get healthy. They got some dogs, man.
They do have some dogs, and obviously we have to get to what's trending because sometimes we get to it and sometimes we don't nowadays. But JB works very, very hard on them. I want to get Chase's opinion because obviously this conversation has morphed into a bunch of different things, as it always has. Because you guys in the chat help program the show. Us in the room come up with new ideas all of the time. But I'm just trying to. How do I ask this? Who do you feel more confident in, John Morton or Kelvin Shepard, on June 12th?
I mean, I'd say John Morton just because he's been in this position before, even though it's with other teams. Like, Kelvin Shepard's still new to the position, and I think, although he's been getting all of this praise from Dan Campbell and that, this defense is, ahead of schedule and ahead of the offense, I think, if it comes week one and, if the Lions end up still getting a win but allowing 28, 30-some points, people might start to question, like, how good is this defense? Or, people might start to raise questions. I don't know if they will or not, but I just feel like the confidence of John Morton, who's been here before, who's done this before, at least as far as being an offensive coordinator in the NFL, I would say right now, if you made me choose, I would say I'm more confident in John Morton.
That was a very loaded question. My apologies for that, but
it was a good answer though.
But yeah, no, it 100%. I didn't give you a lot to work with, but you still knocked it out of the park. Rando Smalls, Morton will be held to higher standards because he has more weapons. He certainly would have been held to higher standards if Frank Ragnow were still there. But yeah, I 100% agree because this offense has been so elite for really 3 years now, and most of the main faces and bodies are still there. Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Penei Sewell, Sam Laporta. They're still there. So this offense is still going to go into the season, I believe, with very, very high expectations. And if they start off slow, I know a lot of people are going to ask questions, probably unfair questions to start out with. Man, Sean Baligian was right. I think he was talking about this on Big D Energy. Me saying that kind of brought this up. This regular season is not going to be very fun, unfortunately.
It's not.
Because they could win week 1 31-27, and people are going to be crapping on the defense. They could win the game 20-17, and it's going to be like, I told you about John Morton in week 1. It's going to happen whether we like it or not.
Even though at the end of the season they will be like, we were 15-2, and they will forget about all of the tough games, all of the close games. And it's like, when I look at some of these other good teams, this is a situation where, especially if you're trying to keep your squad healthy, I expect closer games this season than I do the blowouts. I expect them to play more possession ball, more time of possession, rely on those running backs, especially under John Morton, who we think, based on what he's shown, is going to be a little bit more reliant on those running backs. You know, I believe that this is a situation where you're trying to make sure that Jared Goff has the ball last to put the Lions up 10, to put the Lions up, for good, to get the game-winning field goal. I believe you want more of those types of games where you're controlling things and you know that we can trust our guy in the clutch, like we've seen with Jared Goff to this point.
We have seen numerous examples over the last few years where the game ends either with the Lions running down the clock and kicking a game-winning field goal like at the Chargers, or where they just hang on to the ball and just never give it back at the end, with the greatest example, of course, being the Rams in the playoff game. Yeah,
I was just about to say, yeah, there you go.
Dan Campbell has become, man, the improvement that he's made as a clock manager from year 1 to now, that's such a testament to him, because he wasn't stubborn. He looked inwardly. I think he acknowledged some of the mistakes he made in year 1 and year 2. And honestly, I don't really look at Dan Campbell as anything but a great clock manager now. We've seen it.
Yes.
I didn't know if I'd be saying that by year 4 going into year 5 of his tenure, but playing the possession game, especially when you have an offense that can sustain drives and can get down the field quickly if they need a game winner, play the possession game.
I'm seeing some people, too, in the chat who they're getting a little bit more confident in what these coordinators can be. And largely it's going to rest on what the starters are going to be. I see Patrick Ofiara. If Gibbs can get close to the Barry cutback, when a player breaks down, when a play breaks down, ... But that's the thing. I believe that this team is in a position to where they can be even less reliant on trick plays and lean more into just their straight-up strengths. That's what I like. And do you absolutely take out all trick plays? No, you don't do that. But if I know I can line up my guys across from your guys and run the plays that we want to run, and we're dominating you in that because we know we got the dogs, then fine. Like, if people are that concerned over what they believe Ben Johnson brought versus what they believe Dan Campbell can continue to bring for this team, then I just question how much were they ever, when they were talking about MCDC over the last few years, how much were they ever really fans and believers of his? You can't bite kneecaps if you don't believe in my opinion, the approach that Dan Campbell's taken to, honestly, the first hurdle here. Early on, it was about, and I see what up though with Detroit Gunny talking about Peasant and Lynn, who Aubrey and Anthony Lynn, who early on Dan Campbell had to get rid of and replace. And now he's at a position to where the coordinators that he put in place, they became so good that he had to replace them. Two sides of the same coin, but Dan Campbell has shown, or at least not this precipice, I believe, I'm going to count this already, that he's going to show that he knows what he's doing.
Dan Campbell deserves that faith that he knows what he's doing, that's for sure. But let's go to break and then come back to what's trending. What do we got? Ven Johnson?
Yeah, I got a double up here, man. Ven Johnson and White Claw.
Yep.
Justice is, it means, wait. Let me do that. Justice, actually. Justice. It means different things to different people, but whether it's a settlement or a verdict, justice is always worth the fight. If you've got a case, contact the fighters at Ven Johnson Law today and get the justice you deserve. Tough, tenacious, trial lawyers. Ven Johnson Law. What an ad read. Who did that one? Was that Tim? Shout out to Tim or Brady. Calling all Tigers fans. Join us for the White Claw Tigers Tour. Woodward Sports will be hitting 4 of the top bars in Detroit to watch a Tigers game live on the network. And the first one that went down in McShane's, it was epic, man. And we want you guys to show up to the next one at Nemo's Bar. It's the next stop of the White Claw Tigers Tour. It is being hosted by the heavyweights. So join Spencer and Easy Friday, June 13th, as well as Chris Platty and Nick Koloff, the best Tigers beat reporter in the state. To be a part of the fun, see our reactions live on Woodward Sports Network to one of the hottest teams in baseball. It's the White Claw Tigers Tour. Brought to you by White Claw and Vin Johnson Law.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Hey, Tony, what's up, bro?
Same circus, different clowns.
For sure. You want the usual, the big zip?
You know me too well.
I threw a little something extra in there for your ma.
Oh,
Hope
man.
she's doing all right.
Ay, guy, sei un santo. You're a saint.
All right, buddy, we'll see you next time, okay?
Grazie.
It's part beauty, part beast. It's for those who dare to be different, for those who want to stand out, and for those who are built for more. The all-new Ineos Grenadier combines strength and style for an unmatched driving experience. Sold exclusively at Feldman Ineos of Waterford.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Guys, let's be honest. We like simple stuff like gimmies on the golf course. We like uncomplicated.
Like it easy.
It's better than Tyrese Halliburton. Like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, sign in before you know it. You're handsome and clean. Lady Jane's open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
And Loom.
Hey, enjoy Loom Cannabis. Refreshing buzzing favorites like watermelon, cherry, and strawberry. Or cool off with 2 new summer flavors, raspberry lemonade and peach. Crack a can, take a sip, catch a buzz. Available at Loom's 38 locations across Michigan. Use code WSN30 for 30% off your entire order online or in store. Go to www.loom.com today.
Hey, we're back. It is Wake Up Woodward, and it's time for everybody's favorite segment. Hey, we throw it over to JB Smooth for what's trending. And then I got a question for you after. And it has something to do with our favorite position in Detroit sports, and that is our backup quarterback. Please remind me to ask you that.
I thought it was the linebackers.
For me, it is. But you know, in Detroit sports, it's always been that backup QB.
All right, let's do it.
And now it's time for the most electrifying segment on the internet. Bum, bum, bum. It's What's Trending with JB. Live on Wake Up Woodward.
Who's got it better than JB?
Nobody. What's up, chat family? What's up, fellas? I got a couple of news for you guys. I'm a little embarrassed that I know this or that this came across my feed on socials as well too, but just know if you have a membership to one and you're doing this, the responsibilities are just out the window. Ladies and gentlemen, you can now finance a $1.50 Costco hot dog.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You can finance everything nowadays.
In the layaway payments of 37 cents.
I mean, look, bro, if somebody down bad, you down bad. I've been there where you got to scrape together the few dollars. You go over to 7-Eleven and you get yourself a cup of noodles and one of the hot dogs there. I get it. But this is next level. This is pretty next level.
There was a really good episode on John Oliver's Last Week Tonight about these types of deferred payments and how it's becoming like growing in popularity and how it's secretly becoming like a very big issue amongst younger generations of people like accumulating debt with it's just pay for.
It's what they see as normal now too.
Yeah,
like how to survive, how to thrive, how to get.
They break it down really well. It's on YouTube. It's on HBO Max. So like if you want to like kind of learn more about it, I'd say recommend checking that out.
Shout out to Chase GPT for that, man. This is crazy, man.
Shout out to Chase
Would you do
GPT.
this for the pizza that they have there with salad on top?
Costco pizza is really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No.
Does anyone have a membership?
I
do actually.
You do?
I do.
Nice.
Family man. Costco.
Would one of you guys like to take me for my first time?
You've never been to Costco?
Never once in my life.
We're gonna have to set this up.
What?
We're gonna set something up. We definitely will.
Preach.
We're gonna get that, and maybe we can finance a hot dog.
I got $1.50. Is it a Snap Dog?
He said I got $1.50.
Yes, Chase is very particular about his hot dogs.
Yeah, I don't like the Snap Dog.
Not the Snap, not with the casing. And
No,
all that.
I don't like that.
I feel you on that one. I feel you on that one. $1.50 for a Costco hot dog. I'm
It's
like,
still
bro,
such a great deal.
it is a good deal, but I'm like, if you're gonna finance it, man, throw the pizza on there too.
Yeah, I mean, as Chase was laying out, and I guess they laid out in last week tonight, financing can be poison. It just is. It can be if you don't want to. The bill always comes due, as they say.
All right, now there's a war in the chat that Sam's Club pizza is better than Costco.
Okay, I honestly don't feel that strongly enough to fight this war.
They find any way to just try to be like, you know what? Sam likes Costco pizza. Well, we like Sam's Club.
Hey, Chase, Freddie Felt 313 also offered in the chat to take you to Costco.
Hey, shout out Freddie.
Hey.
Appreciate
Honestly,
Shout
next
out,
time
man.
you're here, come by the studio,
That
and
would
then
be
after
dope,
the show,
actually.
or after
We'll all go with 'em.
after a Big D Energy, we can all go to Costco.
That would be dope.
Yeah,
We're making a Costco
Absolutely.
road trip.
That would
Jesus.
be dope.
So ridiculous.
Eric Moy, he says, "Woo, take Chase to Costco and Cedar Point." He put that in all caps. We got to get to Cedar Point.
How many big booms for the Costco trip?
I mean, we bring the boom. We bring the boom.
Oh my God.
It's a double chunk chocolate cookie.
Yeah, that's what I'm most excited for. They look the double chunk chocolate cookie.
Chase is excited for the
calorie
free
count in those
samples
things,
that
though?
Costco has. That's what it
It's
is.
something I'll avoid looking at.
It's like actual poison,
Hey,
but it's so good.
We got to do it. Let's do a 3.13 Run Club Sunday. We'll go to Belle Isle. We'll do a lap around the island, and then afterwards, Costco, fuel up, recharge.
Bro, I'm gonna
feel
be
feel like I've earned it.
I'm gonna be a straight reporter mode when we go to. I'm gonna be reporting all of the different
Oh my
sample
God.
stations. Like, what are you? I'm bringing the microphone, guys. I'm so serious. Don't be mad at me if I show up in a suit for that day.
Very professional business we run here.
All right, so we got to take Chase to Costco and get him to Cedar Point as well, too. So that just has to be a must. Question for you guys. I'm pretty sure you all got direct deposit, but you ever wanted to ball out at the club, but you still didn't have time to go to the ATM? So
God.
you know how you ball out?
Checks.
Apple Pay, everybody. Apple Pay.
That's actually hilarious.
You got to make
dog.
it rain in the club with Apple Pay. That's all you got to do. Like,
Dog, that's actually hilarious. Oh my God.
make it rain with Apple Pay. It's perfect. Like, same thing, right?
I'm gonna see if it works at home. Hello, sweetie.
Was it? Has making it rain, is that even a thing anymore? I know in
I
like the
don't know,
early
like-
2000s and stuff. Is it still a thing?
Are we still doing
Are we
that?
adding the club to another destination on this road trip?
We gotta find out, right?
Sam just opened that door. He wanted to see
Shout
what
out
was
to the
inside.
Heavies. They used to literally host shows live from what, the Coliseum?
Yeah.
Yep,
And
yep.
guess
Out
who
to
had
the
to, guess who was part of the setup crew for that?
Myself, too.
And JB. We both.
Those some good nights, though. Some good Wednesday nights.
I don't know. I didn't really like the Coliseum personally. I mean, shout out to. I wasn't mad when that sponsorship went bye-bye.
Shout out to the legendary 8 Mile.
Shout out to the legendary Coliseum. And finally, I will end what's trending with this. It's another video where you guys, who's at fault here? You let me know.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Is that person
no.
dead? Oh my God! They're getting up. They're not dead.
What just happened?
Oh.
Who's at fault?
Stop the TikTok videos. Keep your head on the swivel.
Driver. Look how much beach he has. Like, he could have made a veer left.
How do they not hear that? See that? Anything?
Well, yeah, they're staring at it driving towards them.
Oh, God. He got took out, dog.
It looks like she gets like caught up in the wheel too.
See, guys, dog, bro, that's the way Anzalone be smacking like NFC North offensive players, dog. Goodness gracious.
Who's at fault?
Shout out to her for just jumping back up kind of like that, but goodness.
I would say everyone's at
Everyone's
fault.
at fault.
Everyone's at fault.
Don't make TikTok videos on the beach, and you have so much room.
Well, if
Choose
it was in
somewhere else
Michigan,
to
no
go.
one's at fault. Michigan's no fault state.
Oh, golly, don't
This
remind
is
me.
definitely not Michigan.
Don't remind me, Chase. I'm still working through things. Goodness gracious.
But that's it for what's trending, you guys. Let's get this a mailbag.
No, and Freddie Felt 313 talking about the Coliseum. Flannel was at the Coliseum handing out hand sanitizer in front of the champagne room. LMFAO.
JB and I, we met some hardworking young ladies at Tigers opening day. I don't know if you still have your free pass to get into.
Some hardworking young ladies.
I have it somewhere, and I didn't know that they were hardworking young ladies. I just thought they were handing out their business card, but I didn't know it was for that kind of business.
Yeah, I was like, it's a free admittance for one.
I was like, for one what?
One what? Tell me.
I didn't know.
You gotta go find out, JB.
I thought it was like she was giving out haircuts or something, or maybe tattoos. She was very tatted up, so I was like, oh, maybe she's giving out free sessions.
Bro, I don't even know what goes to your head if somebody just gives you a card that says free admittance for one, doesn't tell you where it's at.
It just has a phone number on it. That's it.
Just a phone number?
Free admission for one and a phone number.
Only one. You can't even bring a friend. I don't even want you referring my business. That's something, man. But you know what? Shout out to JB Smooth. Good job as always with what's trending. And I think I'm just gonna steal the first question because we were talking about it, man. The most popular the most popular position in all of Detroit sports, backup quarterback. And I just gotta ask you, just because we're gonna have some fun with it, man. We know that the starters, they might not play a lot. What if Hendon Hooker absolutely balls out? Because I'm still seeing people talk about Hendon Hooker as the future. What if he balls out? Because that's your godson, man. I'm all on aboard Jared Goff. But you already know what's going to happen if he goes out there and sets the preseason on fire.
No, I'm all Jared Goff, regardless of what everyone might think. But still, Hendon Hooker is my guy. I've always wanted him to be drafted, and he got to the Lions as well, too. I know it hasn't been great for him the first rookie season starting now, but if he balls out during the preseason, I have to literally come in here and go on a victory lap and just be like, you know what? I told you. For all of you who sat here and said you wanted him traded, you wanted him gone, you wanted a second or a third round pick, just something for him, just to think that, hey, look, this is coming up right after when Goff is done. When they decide that, hey, you know what? Maybe Goff, you had a little bit too much, and we're handing off the responsibility and the reins to Hendon Hooker. I'm going to come in here and say, I told you, and I told you that Hendon Hooker was the truth. I'm coming in here like half-baked. Just fuck you. You're cool. But you know what? Fuck you. I'm out. I told you Hendon Hooker was a shit.
Look, I was wondering if we were going to get the rated R version. Because he was giving you guys the PG version up until the last little bit. If Flannel and I were both in agreement, we didn't really care. Like, look, if Hendon Hooker does something, cool. If he doesn't, cool. We're not going to hate on him. But now we both have rooting interest to see Hendon Hooker ball out. Because I want to see this energy, JB Smooth, walking through this building. We're going to definitely capture that. We're going to record you.
Oh, of course. I'll be here for it. As soon as the Hall of Fame game starts, I'm telling you.
Well, Rando Smalls at Kool-Aid. Well, it's directed to you, but I guess I'll read it. We're going to find out this season because Goff going to get hurt sometime this year. Don't put that out there. Don't put that out there, Rando.
I didn't put that out there.
Ghostbusters,
Probably shouldn't have even read that. My bad.
Take out negative aura? Man, Charles, oh my goodness. Randall, I still love you though, but bro, we can't put that out there. Charles McClain, mailbag, with the Jobe injury and him out for at least 18 months. Gosh, it still sucked for him.
Yeah.
Do the Tigers trade for 2 starters and a third baseman, or would it cost the Tigers any top prospects?
It depends on the starters and third baseman or any position player, and depends on the situation. Like, it's too early to tell still, I think, exactly what is going to be available, because teams could go on runs, teams could go on slumps. If a team is still in the playoff run, a lot of the guys that a lot of us want, like Bo Bichette. I know Justin Verlander was even mentioned earlier. The Blue Jays and the Giants are still fighting for the playoffs. It's too early to tell exactly what's available, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, what about you too, Justin? Because, obviously he's sitting here saying, hey, he wants 2 arms. He wants a third baseman. He wants a whole lot more. I believe that with this happening to Jackson Jobe right now, it puts the Tigers in a clear position. I think in a little bit. You don't want to see him get hurt, but if he's going to, before the trade deadline, so it gives you a more clear picture of what to go after. How you feeling about it?
I think
two pitchers, a third baseman, and more?
I think that's around the right idea, I think. I think you're going to need to make some significant adds, and I do think that there is some importance to having some clarity before the trade deadline. I think that once we hit like the end of June, into July, right before the deadline, I think you're really going to have a clear picture of what the injury situations are going to look like for the rest of the year, for Vierling, for Mize. Well, Mize is about to come back, so it really, I think that once everyone starts to have a realistic timetable at the trade deadline, you're really going to understand what this team truly needs. And that's a right-handed bat, a bullpen arm, and probably a starting pitcher.
Well, and that's where, it's too early to tell now what's going to be available. The Tigers picture will become clearer, but do you try? Abso-freaking-lutely you do. And I think that there are going to be players that might become available that probably would cost you somebody that you don't necessarily want to give up. But the Tigers have a very good farm system. It's deep. It's got, I think, still 6 of the top 100 prospects according to Baseball America. We'll see. Trying to win a World Series.
Hey,
something could help.
Some teams need to fall off, though. Some of the teams that have high value trade candidates.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know what? Just real quick before we get back to the chat family, just a quick one from me, and this is for the chat family. Where are some places you want to see as boots on the ground? Are there places of business we got to get to? Is there sports bars we got to get to? We got to get to CJ Barrymore's? I want to hear from you guys, not just today. Make this a running thing. Whether you've said it previously, hey, continue to put it into the chat, and we're gonna start, making a bucket list of items. We're going to try and make sure we show up to some of these places.
Costco first.
Costco definitely. But
Costco first.
Even if people are like, yo, show up to my job, I'll show up one day. Just like,
shout out Boots on the Ground. But while you guys put that in the chat while we are breaking down, because me and Justin and Spenny got to film Woodward Wings. Shout out Saturday at 10 a.m.
He says little people boxing. Hey, you know what? We kind of had Boots on the Ground.
We had wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, Stick had it up at Hayes.
JB and I were there.
Yeah, it was fun.
Were there. That's right. I forgot about that, man. But hey, definitely every show, put it into the chats, guys. We're gonna start making a list of things and definitely be able to be out there and interact with you guys more. So, yeah, I hope that they don't start doing things that make me have to face my fears too, though.
What about a Woodward beer mile? Shout out to Nick Heddigen.
Oh wow, Traverse City, Michigan, to a Pit Spitters game. You know what?
That's a fun time.
Oh, dude, I'd love to see everybody try to climb up the big dune.
Yo, I'm saying people put stuff in.
Up at Sleeping Bear.
Oh, the dunes at Sleeping Bear.
Big one.
Bro, yeah.
So
definitely.
much fun.
We got some stuff, man. So, chat family, keep it going. Let's create the tradition, and we'll continue to, boots on the ground with the people.
Yep.
Let's get that chest pass going and break this down. Because we got the Woodward Wings extravaganza on the way. I love this trio of people. And I love the passion that they're putting into this right now. It's not just content. This is the content of content when you talk about wings. Shout out to Spinny. Shout out to Justin. Shout out to Flannel. We got intern Noah. We got intern Ryan in the building. I'm going to break this down starting with the couch, though. That dude, Justin, intern Ryan. What up, though?
What up, though? Make sure you tune in to Woodward Wings Saturday, 10 a.m. We've been enjoying making it for you. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from it. So, shout out to the crew and shout out to all you guys. I hope that you guys have a great Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow on the desk, baby. Thanks, Flannel.
Of course.
Hey, that's right. What up, though, intern Ryan?
What's going on, everyone? Just make sure you're looking on socials and all that fun stuff. And Justin yesterday, the Max Clark video, when he was at Lansing Lugnut game watching the Whitecaps, it was kind of cool because I used to run the camera out in center field last summer, and seeing a little vantage point and a video from it kind of gave me back some memories from last year. So awesome to see.
That's what's up, man. Hey, that's what we're trying to do. Woodward Sports. For the fans, by the fans. And Eric Moy, hear me out. Mackinac Island. I love Mackinac Island. They got one of the best pizza spots on their hidden gym up there.
It's illegal to camp on Mackinac Island.
Wow.
but you can still do it.
Kind of makes me want to do it even more.
Oh, yeah.
Especially camp out. I saw Spinny was talking about that in the chat. We're going to start doing some things. In the sound booth, we go over there to Cavassier Chase, who is quickly becoming one of those MVP candidates too. What up, though, Cavassier? Good show, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good one. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to a fun weekend, a little bit of a relaxed weekend leading up into Father's Day compared to all of like the racing that's been going on here in Michigan. So NASCAR's down in Mexico City, so that'll be pretty fun. But other than that, man, I hope you guys are having a good time, and tap into Fast and Loose with JB Smooth and myself. We're looking forward to, like I said, letting that platform grow and hopefully like becoming like bigger in the NASCAR space. So shout out.
Continue to crush, man. I appreciate your dedication to getting that content done, Chase. And JB Smooth. I know you got a couple, Fast and Loose and Woodward Ringside.
Oh, yeah.
Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth. And you got
and
some
No
other
Chill
things, too.
with
No
JB
Chill,
Smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to all the great shows that we have going on right now. Woodward Wings, be prepared for that for the weekend. Ringside, an episode is out right now. Myself and KG recapping Money in the Bank. A little stuff that happened on Raw as well, too, but we'll get into more of that over the weekend. And my guy Chase and myself, Fast and Loose, recapping our weekend over at MIS, the NASCAR. It was so much fun. Definitely encourage you to go and watch that. And like I said, if you want some more of JB Smooth, go check out the No Chill podcast with JB Smooth. Just look up No Chill podcast, JB Smooth, or my name as well too. You'll be able to find it. So
hey, shout out, man. Shout out. Like I said, I'm excited to see everything going on at the network. Flannel Sam, veteran squad of the network, man, you've been doing this a long time. All sports lover and 1/3 of Woodward Wings. What up, though?
Been doing it for a long time. Tigers win the series tonight. Win one for the Jober.
Hey, win one for the Jobe. It seemed like just. I'm trying to.
That's not his
we keep
nickname.
a
It's
straight
win
face.
one for the Jober. Win one for Jobe.
I was like, get through the show. That's hilarious. But you know what? It felt like that news just cast a shadow over that game. Get right tonight, man.
get
right.
one for the Jobe.
Yeah, it's your boy Brandon.
Jobe it in.
Earpiece out.
Just Jobe it.
It's your boy Brandon.
You better Jobe it.
Your credential is
Jobe it now.
You guys have a blessed day, chat family. If you didn't get the opportunity to, smash that like button on the way out. Satisfy it in honor of Flannel Sam, who held down the Satisfy That Like Button song today. Hey, have a blessed week.
I'm over here Jobing.